Chapter 1. Transmigration. In the province of Yu, in the city of Shanghai, at the Yushui Bay No. 8 villa area, the clock struck 2:30 in the afternoon. A young man lay on an old bed, his brow furrowed and beads of perspiration dotting his forehead. He appeared to be around 18 years old, tall and slender, exuding an air of intellectual charm. Suddenly, he opened his eyes wide and sat bolt upright, clutching his chest as if struggling to breathe. Pain, the agony was overwhelming. He felt his head, then examined his body, relieved to find no blood. He recalled walking down the street when a runaway truck veered towards an exquisitely beautiful woman. Without a moment's hesitation, he rushed forward to save her, only to be met with a torrent of blood. Wiping the sweat from his brow, he acknowledged that the pain had lasted only an instant, yet it left a profound shadow over him. While others might dismiss his experience as fanciful, it was indeed the truth he had just endured. What a twist of fate. Driven by a craving for instant noodles, he ended up saving a life, yet was crushed in the process. As he surveyed his surroundings, he realized this was not a place. He recognized it was not his room. The small chamber contained only a dilapidated wooden bed, an old wardrobe, and a rickety table, each piece showing signs of age. While he was taking stock of his unfamiliar environment, a sharp pain lanced through his mind, flooding him with a torrent of memories that did not belong to him. After the excruciating wave subsided, he comprehended that he had transmigrated into the body of a high school senior in another world. Checking his phone, he noted that this realm bore a striking resemblance to his previous life, with literature and poetry almost identical. This revelation left him bewildered, questioning whether he had truly crossed over. Yet the evidence was compelling. The original owner of this body was named Jiang Nan, a mere 18 years old, while Gu Yechen was already 25. Jiang Nan had been an orphan, but 3 years ago, he was reunited with his biological parents through a paternity test. Starved for familial affection, he eagerly returned home, only to find himself plunged into despair. His girlfriend, whom he had cherished for years and promised himself to, had betrayed him for the adopted son of his family. Overwhelmed by successive blows, Jiang Nan ultimately took his own life. The adopted son had been taken in by Jiang Nan's family after he was abducted as a newborn. During that sorrowful time, Jiang's mother was inconsolable, and the family adopted a boy to ease her grief. They lavished him with love and attention, helping her recover from her loss. Upon returning to the Jiang household, Jiang Nan was filled with trepidation. He treaded carefully, striving to appease everyone, including the false heir who had stolen his childhood. For 3 years, he endured bullying, and even his biological parents had come to resent him due to the adopted son. Only his eldest sister treated him kindly, always standing by his side. When he was punished and denied food, she would sneak him meals. When he was wrongly accused of theft, she would defend him. Thanks to her care, he remained fit, with a strong physique adorned with abs and muscles. But his mental state had deteriorated in the years since returning home. On the day he returned, his sister secretly gifted him a bank card containing 1 million yuan, with monthly deposits of 10,000 for his living expenses. However, apart from his sister, he found little support from the rest of the family. Gu Yechen lamented the plight of Jiang Nan despite the hostility from his family. He at least had the support of his sister. It was unfathomable that he had taken his own life. What would she think if she learned of her brother's demise? At that moment, someone kicked open his door. Gu Yechen was startled by the sudden noise, jolting from his thoughts to see a striking woman standing in the doorway, her eyes ablaze with fury and animosity. He recognized her as Jiang Ku, the original owner's third sister, who had treated him the worst, second only to the adopted son. "Get down to the living room," she commanded, her eyes seething with rage, as she turned on her heel and walked away. Confused, Gu Yechen gathered himself and followed her downstairs. The living room was filled with people aside from his eldest sister. Everyone was present, including his fourth sister, a celebrity. Taking a seat, Gu Yechen inquired, "What's going on? Was it you?" Jiang Ku shouted, pointing an accusatory finger at him. The others remained silent, casting disdainful glances in his direction. Gu Yechen, bewildered, replied, "What are you talking about? What do you mean by was it you? Are you playing dumb? Did you send someone to beat up Zaheo?" Jiang Ke had just received a call from Jiang Zaheo, who reported he had been attacked and was now in a hospital with a mild concussion. Upon hearing this, she rushed home to confront Jiang Nan, unaware that it was all a ruse orchestrated by Zaheo himself, and oblivious to the fact that her most despised brother had already taken his life. What stood before her was a new soul from another world. A chill flickered in Gu Yechen's eyes as he replied, "What madness is this? I haven't even left the house in days. How could I possibly have harmed him? I have no desire to engage in the same underhanded dealings as he does." Everyone fell silent, and Jiang Ku stood frozen, shocked if her memory served her. This was the first time Jiang Nan had ever spoken back to her, and he had actually called her insane. The former Jiang Nan would never have dared to retort. She was a businesswoman running a chain of tea and coffee shops, a woman of both beauty and grace, with few rivals in Shanghai. To be labeled a lunatic by someone was intolerable. Rogue, how dare you speak to your sister that way? A stern voice echoed. It was Jiang Feng, the original owner's father. Jiu Yechen glanced at him, a mocking smile gracing his lips as he retorted. What? Am I expected to admit to something I didn't do? Jiang Feng's piercing gaze scanned Gu Yechen, noting his calm demeanor despite the storm of accusations. You didn't do it? Zaheo heard them say you were the one who ordered the attack before he collapsed. You claim ignorance? How could I have produced such a heartless wretch? Jiang Feng raged, directing his fury at Gu Yechen. Jiu Yechen found himself at a loss for words. How could he be implicated in such a farce? It was evident that someone had staged this drama, yet without any investigation. The original owner was branded a villain. No wonder he had succumbed to despair. Are you implying that he heard someone say it was me? What if it was all a setup to frame me? Perhaps it was a deliberate act by someone with ulterior motives? Given the vast wealth of the Jiang family, you should be able to decipher my meaning. And you dare call me a beast? Who do you think spawned such a creature? Gu Yechen raised an eyebrow, directing his gaze at Jiang Zaheo. Jiang Feng froze, his face flushing crimson in his anger. He had failed to consider that he had effectively insulted himself. Father, please do not blame my brother. Perhaps I misheard. It is all my fault. As Jiang Zaheo spoke, his demeanor shifted to one of pitiful innocence, his eyes brimming with a sorrowful appeal that even Gu Yechen found disconcerting, momentarily believing he had indeed wronged him. Jiang's mother grasped Jiang Zaheo's hand, offering her continuous comfort, before turning her gaze toward Gu Yechen, her voice icy as she reprimanded. You have deeply disappointed me. You cannot even own up to your actions, yet you stand here with such audacity, boldly accusing others. Zaheo is your brother. How could you commit such an egregious betrayal against him? Oh dear. Upon hearing this, Gu Yechen was taken aback by the eloquence of her words, believing he had somehow been transported into a historical drama. He regarded Jiang's mother with a frigid stare, aware that nothing he could say would alter their convictions. Why should I confess to something I did not do? What evidence do you possess to suggest I am guilty? Must I yield to the machinations of some scheming individual without proof? What right do you have to address me in such a manner? Gu Yechen's gaze pierced Jiang's mother, devoid of any compassion. Chapter 2. The Green Tea Prince. Jiang's mother was visibly agitated, her blood pressure rising. She trembled as she pointed accusingly at Gu Yechen, exclaiming, You ungrateful wretch. I should never have brought you into this world. I ought to have terminated the pregnancy instead. She clutched her chest, gasping for breath. I could see that moment. Jiang Lai, the second son, spoke up. With a detached expression, he addressed Gu Yechen, saying, Jiang Nan, regardless of the circumstances, you should not speak to our mother in that manner. She bore and raised you. It was no easy feat. Do you truly believe this is acceptable behavior? Firstly, if given the choice, I would prefer not to exist in this world, as there is nothing here that warrants my affection. Secondly, while she may have given birth to me, it was not her who raised me. That honor belongs to the director. She's the one who lost me, and you will never comprehend the struggles I endured growing up. Gu Yechen was unrelenting, indifferent to the opinions of those around him. He was no Jiang Nan, and he would strike where it hurt. Soon as Gu Yechen finished speaking, Jiang's mother seemed to lose her composure entirely, as if she were about to faint. You wretched son, how dare you address your mother in such a way? Jiang Feng slammed his fist on the table, bellowing in anger. Jiu Yechen scoffed. Is that too much for you? Remember, I have endured this for 3 long years. My time outside was far more bearable than the years I've spent here. The previously silent fourth sister, Jiang Shui, finally interjected. Looking at Gu Yechen, she stated, Jiang Nan, regardless of the past, you should not speak to mother in this way. We all know what you have done over the years. We understand your theft, given your upbringing in such a disreputable environment. However, if you simply apologize to mother and Zaheo, we can put this matter to rest. Gu Yechen glanced at Jiang Shui, who was strikingly beautiful, yet her words were as distasteful as if they had emerged from a foul source. He looked at her with disdain and replied, Is your mouth so foul because you've consumed excrement? Are you trying to dig a pit for me? I have stated I will not confess to actions I did not commit. Initially, I yearned for familial bonds, thus I tolerated your transgressions, believing my forbearance would yield greater horizons. However, I was met with an abyss instead. My continuous tolerance has led you to believe that I should bear the consequences of others' actions. But now, I renounce this absurd notion of kinship. Let it be fed to the dogs. With that, he cast her a scornful glance. Before anyone could react, Gu Yechen continued, You accuse me of stealing your necklace. Yet have you forgotten that your room is locked? Besides you, not even those two could enter. He gestured toward Jiang Feng and Jiang's mother. continuing, "In the years I've spent here, I have not only refrained from stealing from your room, but have not even approached. Yet I truly wonder what resides in that head of yours that you cannot grasp such a simple fact. Have you been kicked by a donkey, or is your mind muddled with something foul that you mistake for your own fragrance?" A shared fury simmered among the onlookers, their gazes fierce as they fixated on Gu Yechen. "And you, Jiang Lai, previously claiming I stole your belongings, why not present your evidence? Do not allow me to look down upon you." Gu Yechen paused, then added, "I misspoke, I already looked down upon you." As Gu Yechen concluded his statement, Jiang Zihao immediately interjected, "Brother, it is all my fault, please do not be angry. The sisters only wish to protect you. If you steal, you will walk a crooked path, they only want what is best for you." Jiang Zihao spoke softly, making sure to redden his eyes for effect. "This is a green tea prince. I can hardly contain my admiration." Gu Yechen thought, genuinely astonished by Jiang Zihao's theatrical display. He could cry on cue, and the tears would not fall. Jiu Yechen shot him a cold glance, letting out a derisive snort. "There is no need for your theatrics before me. You cry at the drop of a hat. An uninformed observer might think I am the one bullying you. You appear so feeble. One might mistake you for a woman. I am fully aware of the kind of person you are behind the facade. Spare me the performance, it may fool others, but I know exactly what you have done to me." Jiang Zihao's face flushed with embarrassment. His secretive actions were meant to remain hidden. Suddenly, tears streamed down his face as he weakly uttered, "Brother, I do not know how I have offended you. I have been raised by our parents, yet I know nothing of my own affairs. It is my fault, I should have understood my circumstances. I will move out soon." He paused, then added, "But brother, please do not hold any ill will toward our parents or sisters, they only want what is best for you. Regardless, you must not steal, it is wrong." With that, his tears flowed even more freely, evoking sympathy from Jiang's mother and the other women present. "You ungrateful child. Zihao is so kind and wishes to be your brother. How can you treat him this way? I have never encountered anyone so heartless." Jiang Feng directed his ire at Gu Yechen, while the women looked on with palpable disdain. Jiang Feng turned to Jiang's mother and said, "I told you from the beginning that a yearly donation to the orphanage would suffice. You insisted on bringing him home. Look at what he has become. All he does is create chaos and steal. What good has he brought? A worthless burden. Since you brought him back, our household has been in disarray." Jiang Feng's frustration was evident as he addressed Jiang's mother. In an instant, the atmosphere in the living room grew heavy with tension. Everyone seemed to be holding their breath, as if ready to erupt at any moment. At that moment, a servant called Jiang Ku, saying, "Third miss, please come upstairs. I found Madam's clothes scattered everywhere, as though someone had ransacked the room, and I dared not inform her." Upon hearing this, Jiang Ku was furious and stormed upstairs. Moments later, she emerged with 2 articles of clothing in hand. She held the garments before Gu Yechen, her gaze icy as she demanded, "Jiang Nan, did you do this?" Jiang's mother was momentarily taken aback, glancing at the clothing in her daughter's hands with confusion. "Here, are these not my clothes?" "How?" Jiang Ku, fuming, replied, "Mother, someone has rummaged through your belongings, including some intimate garments, and there are traces left behind." Jiang Zihao's complexion turned pale, but he quickly regained his composure. Jiang's mother, her face flushed with anger, pointed a trembling finger at Gu Yechen, exclaiming, How could you commit such a heinous act? How could I have given birth to such a wretch?" Gu Yechen's expression remained cold, devoid of emotion as he stated, "I will not confess to actions I did not commit. I will no longer allow you to tarnish my name with your baseless accusations. Mother, please do not be angry. Brother surely did not intend to offend. He must have only wanted to see Mother's things and did not mean to cause any harm." Jiang Zihao feigned innocence, deliberately provoking Jiang's mother's ire. "Zihao, you need not speak on her behalf. This matter can only be accomplished by him." "Undoubtedly," Jiang Ku asserted with unwavering conviction. Chapter 3. The system has arrived. Where is the evidence? What proof do you have that I am responsible? Without evidence, I could just as easily claim that it was some weakling who did it. After Gu Yechen finished speaking, he deliberately cast a glance at Jiang Zihao, who was startled by the sudden gaze, pressing his lips together in silence, although his eyes were slightly red. Upon witnessing Gu Yechen's look, the others instantly understood. Jiang Ke shouted angrily, "Jiang Nan, it was clearly your doing. Yet you wish to tarnish another's reputation? Living under the same roof as you feels utterly filthy." Turning to Jiang's mother, she continued, "Mother, this matter was definitely caused by Jiang Nan. Apart from him, no one else has been home during this time." Jiang's mother nodded. Adorned in lavish attire, with jade bangles on her wrists and a necklace around her neck, she presented herself as a quintessential affluent matriarch. Rising to her feet, she fixed her serious gaze upon Gu Yechen and demanded, "Jiang Nan, tell me, did you do this? You had better confess honestly." Gu Yechen met Jiang's mother's gaze. Speaking slowly and deliberately, I will say this only once more. I will not take the blame for something I did not do. Do not think that I am the same person I once was. Whatever happens now is of no concern to me, nor do I require your involvement. Jiang Nan, do you still refuse to admit it? You have the audacity to act, yet lack the courage to confess. It is truly detestable. Jiang Lai, the second sibling, looked at her brother with disdain. An artist with a strong aversion to mess, she forbade anyone but her eldest sister from touching her belongings. The sight of Jiang Nan using her personal garments for other purposes filled her with a profound sense of disgust and revulsion. Dear sister, brother must not have meant to do this. Jiang Zihao, fearful that the flames of conflict would not blaze brightly enough, stoked the fire further, casting a provocative glance at Gu Yechen. Xiao Hao, you are simply too naive. Unlike certain individuals who possess a heart of a wolf and the lungs of a dog. Jiang Ke scoffed at Gu Yechen, continuing, Jiang Nan, as a member of the Jiang family, your actions are deeply disappointing. You associate with a group of lowly individuals. And you even dared to harm Xiao Hao. Now you stoop to using personal clothing for other deeds. What right do you have to remain in the Jiang family? The tone was one Gu Yechen knew all too well, filled with Jiang Ke's unrelenting reprimands. Gu Yechen shrugged nonchalantly and replied, whoever is responsible knows their own actions. In any case, it is not me, wouldn't you agree? Pretend, young master. As he spoke, he glanced at Jiang Zihao, who suddenly felt his face flush. He believed Jiang Nan surely knew something, but he had concealed his machinations too well for them to be discovered. Jiang Nan, do you dare to slander Xiao Hao? Coming from such a lowly background, how do you think you can compare with him? Xiao Hao has always been well-behaved and considerate, never causing trouble for the family. Yet you, since your arrival in this household with your dirty hands, have mislaid items time and again. Now you dare to use personal clothing for other purposes. Are you not afraid of being cast out of this home? Upon hearing the threat of expulsion, Jiang Zihao's eyes lit up, though the Jiang family was not the wealthiest. They were a prominent family in Shanghai City, with their company ranked among the top 20 in the city. The Jiang Group, primarily in the pharmaceutical industry, boasted a market value exceeding 80 billion. If Jiang Nan were to be expelled, the company would surely fall into his hands. Sister, I do not blame my brother. It is my fault for being here. If I were not, brother would not dislike me so. You would not argue because of me. Tears streamed down Jiang Zihao's face, intensifying the disdain the others felt towards Gu Yechen. Seeing this, Jiang's mother hastily comforted her son, then turned her fierce gaze on Jiang Nan, saying, look at your brother. How considerate and kind he is. Now look at yourself, always stirring up trouble. How could I possibly have such a son? Gu Yechen clenched his fists, nails digging into his palms, overwhelmed with anger at the original owner's plight. After traversing into this world, he understood that the original was never welcomed in this family. Yet he had not anticipated such indiscriminate blame. While he was aware of the situation, the accusations were utterly outrageous. I suggest you investigate thoroughly before you indiscriminately dump your blame onto me. I am not a trash receptacle for you to fill. Gu Yechen replied coldly, his expression devoid of emotion. Still trying to argue. It was clearly you. You are a harbinger of misfortune since your arrival. You have brought nothing but calamity to our home. Jiang's father interjected angrily. Gu Yechen's gaze sharpened as he scanned Jiang's father, his eyes glinting with a cold light. Meanwhile, Jiang Zihao gloatingly observed, his scheme unfolding step by step. He knew that if Jiang Nan were cast out, the Jiang group would be his for the taking. Mother, please stop speaking ill of brother. Perhaps there is truly a misunderstanding. Jiang Zihao feigned innocence. After all, brother is still our family. You are simply too kind, Zihao. People like him do not deserve your pity. Jiang's mother retorted. Jiang's father, witnessing the situation unfold, felt a surge of anger. Slamming a hand on the table before rubbing it behind his back, stating, Jiang Nan, it is a disgrace that the Jiang family has raised you for so many years. And you dare to commit such a heinous act against your own mother-esque clothing, yet you refuse to admit it. You truly are unworthy of being called a son. Here I come. Gu Yechen was taken aback, scanning his surroundings to confirm that no one else had spoken, feeling perplexed. System is binding. 10%. 30%. 90%. Congratulations, host has perished. System binding successful. A system? The electronic female voice filled Gu Yechen with a sense of delight. Since his arrival in this world, he had been contemplating the existence of a system, as it was typically a staple for those who transmigrated. However, hearing the system congratulate him on his demise caused a lump to form in his throat. Thank you. Gu Yechen recognized that his presence in this realm was undoubtedly due to the system's intervention. Otherwise, he would have long since perished. Host is being too polite. This system was out shopping in the heavens when I observed your bravery in risking yourself to save another. This courage resonated with me. Thus I brought you here. What happened to that woman? Gu Yechen pondered and ultimately decided to inquire of the system. If he had died without saving her, it would have been a waste of a life. He recalled that when the truck was about to collide with him, there was no time to evade. So in that critical moment, he instinctively shielded his back from the truck, instinctively cradling the woman in his arms. Despite his efforts to avoid the impact, Both he and the woman were thrown back from the collision. As they fell, Gu Yechen turned his body, positioning himself beneath her, absorbing all the force of the impact. Blood pooled around them as he reached up to gently caress the exquisite woman's cheek before succumbing to unconsciousness. The hostess' choice has earned my admiration. The woman is unharmed. She is a renowned female entrepreneur, and after your departure, she investigated your information and accomplished many meaningful deeds in your name. The system explained with clarity. Chapter 4. The Agreement. What is happening? Gu Yechen was taken aback. He had never even met that woman. Yet she had done so much after his demise. After you left, she resolved never to marry. She devoted her entire life to helping those in need. Thunderstruck, Gu Yechen disregarded everyone present and retreated to his room. The guests in the living room were perplexed. Jiang Ke paused momentarily and asked, "What is wrong with him?" Everyone shook their heads in confusion. "Is what you just said true?" Leaning against the door after returning to his room, Gu Yechen's mind was in turmoil. He had merely saved that woman's life. He never anticipated such an outcome. Indeed, after your failed rescue, she collected all your information, and your phone is now in her possession. She is too foolish. We merely crossed paths. There was no need for her to go to such lengths, Gu Yechen lamented, shaking his head. Do not worry. She will eventually adopt a daughter, and they will lead a happy life together. Gu Yechen nodded, choosing not to comment further. What system are you? Once he had calmed down, Gu Yechen began to inquire. This is an omnipotent system. It will adjust according to the planet the host resides on, came a haughty female electronic voice. Gu Yechen could not help but chuckle. Based on the experiences of the host's former self, the Godly Wealth System task is now released. Please sever ties with the Jiang family and live under the name Gu Yechen. Reward: 100 shares of the Shui Xian International Hotel, plus a special reward. Gu Yechen glanced at the system panel. Name: Gu Yechen. Age: 18. Funds: 1 million. Physique: 55 points. Normal is 50 points. Frequent exercise can elevate this. Appearance: 95 points. Can be enhanced. Full score is 100. Mental strength: 25 points. Charm: 35 points. Special abilities: none. Enhancement points: 0. Special items: a beginner's gift pack. Upon activating the beginner's gift pack, Gu Yechen was eager to discover its usefulness. Congratulations, host. You have activated the beginner's gift pack, acquiring the Super Scholar ability, ensuring an effortless academic journey. A limited edition Bugatti Chiron sports car legendary driving expertise. The car keys and driving documents are stored in the system space and can be retrieved at any time. The car can appear whenever you wish. Gu Yechen said nothing, merely tidying up his belongings. He packed a few articles of clothing and study materials, leaving everything else behind. He intended to sever ties with him anyway, and now, armed with the system's rewards, he felt even more resolute. Dragging his suitcase back into the living room, he found everyone exchanging glances, speechless. Gu Yechen placed 2 printed documents on the table, labeled Agreement to Sever Parental Relations. He coldly regarded everyone. Over the years, you have struck me, insulted me, and made me bear the blame. Now that we are all gathered, let us speak plainly. You previously expressed a desire to expel me from this home. Frankly, had I known my return would lead to this, I would have never set foot in this door. Mr. Jiang, Mrs. Huang, before you are 2 copies of the Agreement to Sever Parental Relations. Although this document lacks legal credibility, it is better to sign it for peace of mind. After signing, we shall no longer have any ties from this night forth. When you require support, I will provide you with 3,000 yuan monthly as a gesture of filial piety from the former Jiang Nan. I have adopted a new name from now on. I shall be known as Gu Yechen, and Jiang Nan is no longer my identity. I return that name to you, except for his elder sister Jiang Qingyan. Everyone else was present. Jiang's mother Huang Li, Jiang's father, Jiang Ku, Jiang Lai, Jiang Shui, Jiang Zaheo, and several servants. Jiang Nan, what are you doing? Do you know the consequences of your actions? Jiang's father shouted angrily. Jiang's mother, in tears, was bewildered as to why Jiang Nan had reached such a point, believing their family had done him no wrong. Please, stop barking like dogs. Just sign the documents. You don't need to think too much about it. For years, you have not publicly acknowledged my status as the young master of the Jiang family, so no one will know about this. And it will not impact the Jiang Group's stock price. At that moment, Jiang's father's fury peaked. He seized a cup and hurled it to the ground. Crash. Glass shattered everywhere. You ungrateful wretch. Instead of studying, you waste your time on frivolous antics. You have not learned how to be a member of the Jiang family, yet you wish to sever ties with us. Are you threatening me? I must remind you, Mr. Jiang, who was it that claimed I was unworthy of being a Jiang? Who was it that wanted me to leave? Now that I have decided to cut ties, you accuse me of causing trouble? Moreover, this is not a threat. It is a notification. Although such an agreement lacks legal standing, regardless of whether you sign it, we have no relationship. Therefore, from today forth, no matter how I live, it will have no bearing on the Jiang family. Even if I resort to begging or perish outside, I shall never again cross the threshold of the Jiang household. You may cherish your false young master and carry on. Gu Yechen scoffed. You ungrateful wretch. Third, bring me my feather duster. Jiang's mother was incensed. But that was of no concern to Gu Yechen. Jiang Ke handed the feather duster to their mother, who pointed it threateningly at Gu Yechen. Today, I will teach you a lesson. As she raised the feather duster to strike, Gu Yechen, not one to be easily subdued, swiftly seized it and snapped it in two. Everyone present was incredulous. At first, they thought Jiang Nan was merely venting anger, but the situation had shifted dramatically. Mrs. Huang, I do not wish to witness such a scene. Otherwise, I cannot guarantee my actions, including potential violence. I trust you do not wish to trade the entire Jiang family for my life. Gu Yechen warned through clenched teeth. You ungrateful wretch, how dare you? Jiang Feng, witnessing his wife being threatened, could hardly contain his rage. He stood up, intent on slapping Gu Yechen, only for Gu Yechen to dodge. Jiang Feng attempted again, and Gu Yechen faced him, saying, Mr. Jiang, I hope this is the last time. You wouldn't want me to expose this matter, would you? When one has nothing to lose, they become fearless. If you provoke me, I will not hesitate to take you down with me. Gu Yechen smiled. Yet his expression was laced with menace, instilling a sense of dread in all who beheld it. Chapter 5. Severing ties. Having spent 3 years in the Jiang household, I scarcely utilized your finances, and you have never provided me with any substantial monetary support. The total for my monthly sustenance amounts to 500 yuan, culminating in a total of 18,000 over 3 years. Adding various trifles discarded by your cherished son, we can estimate my debt to the Jiang family at 20,000. Rest assured, I shall repay this sum gradually. Upon hearing this, Mrs. Jiang was momentarily taken aback. She had not anticipated her own son would possess so little. Considering that a single item of Jiang Zihong's often exceeded 10,000 yuan, it was evident that they had indeed never purchased much for Jiang Nan. Ungrateful wretch. If you dare step beyond this threshold, I shall disown you. Jiang Feng's anger surged, a tempest he could scarcely contain. Fear not, Mr. Jiang. Once you affix your signature to this agreement, I assure you that I shall never set foot in this abode again. Gu Yechen grinned, continuing, and rest assured, I shall expedite the repayment of this debt to you. Therefore, I kindly request that both of you sign at your earliest convenience. Otherwise, should I depart and reveal the truth, it would not bode well for your esteemed foster son, whom others believe to be the true heir of the Jiang family. Brother, please don't say such things. Mother and father only wish the best for you. How can you speak to them like that? Apologize, and they will forgive you. Jiang Zihong feigned concern for Gu Yechen, secretly reveling in the prospect of Jiang Nan's expulsion. Gu Yechen cast a disdainful glance at him, retorting, You treacherous beast. Spare me your pretense. My previous forbearance stemmed from a yearning for familial warmth, enduring your slanders in silence. But now, I shun this farcical family. And you still wish to put on airs before me? Without hesitation, Gu Yechen swiftly approached Jiang Zihong and delivered a resounding slap across his face, exerting all his strength, leaving the latter's visage swollen. You dare strike my son? Mrs. Jiang rushed forward, forcefully pushing Gu Yechen aside, with several sisters encircling them. Witnessing Jiang Zihong's disheveled state, Mrs. Jiang's heart ached. She turned, eyes blazing, ready to retaliate against Gu Yechen. However, just as she was about to strike, Gu Yechen seized her wrist, coldly stating, Madame Huang, have you forgotten my previous admonition? Mrs. Jiang, taken aback by his unyielding glare, found herself momentarily disoriented. Gu Yechen released her arm, asserting, This is the final warning. One must not repeatedly test my patience. Unable to contain herself, Jiang Ke lunged at Gu Yechen, only for him to grasp her fair arm and deliver a retaliatory slap across her face. All were momentarily stunned, Jiang Ke staring in disbelief at Jiang Nan, unable to fathom that the person who had once sought her favor could turn so violent and with such force. With a hint of menace, Gu Yechen warned, Miss Jiang, I advise you to reconsider before resorting to violence. My previous restraint was born from my desire to belong, to regard you as family. However, you are nothing to me now. Do you still wish to treat me as before? Do not presume I remain as compliant as I once was, in my eyes. You are insignificant. Jiang father rose, fury coursing through him as he pointed at Gu Yechen, declaring, You dare lay a hand on your sister? She is not my sister, nor am I her brother. I have never belonged to your family. Gu Yechen replied, enunciating each word with conviction. You wretch, you have consumed our resources, adorned yourself in our garments, and yet you dare to act so insolently? You claim you are not a Jiang? Jiang father's face flushed with rage, a tempest of emotions threatening to erupt. How curious that you persist in declaring me a member of your family. I must inquire, do you genuinely consider me one of your own? Gu Yechen pointed at each individual, save for Jiang Zihong. Moreover, you accuse me of consuming your provisions and donning your attire. I reiterate that I shall repay this debt within a year. All were rendered speechless by Gu Yechen's declarations. Parents, please do not be upset. Brother is just slapped. Another resounding blow echoed as Gu Yechen struck Jiang Zihong again, leaving the other side of his face bruised, his head resembling that of a pig. Brother, you. Tears streamed down Jiang Zihong's face, each drop resembling pearls cascading down. The usually taciturn Jiang Lai could no longer restrain herself. Jiang Nan, regardless of the circumstances, you should never resort to violence. It is against the law. If we report this, you will be imprisoned. Jiang Lai, having observed the escalating situation, finally voiced her discontent. Report it? By all means. Let the authorities investigate and uncover the truth of this matter. Gu Yechen replied with a smile. Upon hearing this, Jiang Zihong panicked, addressing Jiang Lai, second sister, I'm fine. Brother is simply resentful of my presence. I shall leave. He wiped away his tears, attempting to depart, but was seized. Zihong, this is not your fault. Mrs. Jiang reacted swiftly as Jiang Zihong attempted to exit. Mr. Jiang, Madam Huang, as long as you sign this agreement, our ties will be severed. Is this not your fervent desire? What are you waiting for? Jiang father erupted in rage. Very well. You ungrateful wretch. It appears you have grown wings. He rummaged through his belongings for the agreement. Gu Yechen hastily offered him a pen, fearing he might reconsider. Mr. Jiang, I have merely resided in the Jiang household for 3 years, during which your treatment of me has been rather harsh. Yet you claim to have raised me? Jiang father could no longer contain his fury. He seized the pen, and everyone watched in astonishment. Mrs. Jiang attempted to intervene, but Jiang father waved her off, signing his name and affixing his seal to both copies of the agreement. Gu Yechen nodded in approval and extended the document to Mrs. Jiang, saying, Madam Huang, please proceed. Mrs. Jiang was taken aback by the turn of events, her hand trembling as she grasped the pen. Jiang Zihong, witnessing his father's signature, felt an inexplicable joy. Mrs. Jiang glanced at Gu Yechen, asking, Are you certain you wish to sever ties with us? Gu Yechen smiled and replied, Madam Huang, do you truly believe I would jest? In this household, I am treated as less than a slave. You have never regarded me as your son. Therefore, please sign. With tears brimming in her eyes, Mrs. Jiang signed her name on the agreement, pressing her seal. Tears cascaded down her cheeks as she pondered how they had arrived at this point. Feeling as though a part of her essence had departed. Jiang Nan, no, Gu Yechen. I refuse to accept your proposal to repay that 20,000 a year from now. You must hand over the funds immediately, or it will double each day, Jiang father coldly stated. Upon hearing this, Gu Yechen's expression hardened as he strode into the kitchen. Retrieving a kitchen knife and slamming it onto the coffee table, smiling as he said, Mr. Jiang, are you certain you wish to pursue a path of mutual destruction? Chapter 6, A Reward of 100 Trillion. Everyone was taken aback by this scene, holding their breath in astonishment. Even John's father, a seasoned figure in the business world, felt a flutter of anxiety at this moment. He had not anticipated that Gu Yechen would slam a knife down on the coffee table before him. He genuinely believed that if he dared to utter another word, Gu Yechen might just chop up the entire family. Fine. A year it is. Zhang's father coughed awkwardly twice and continued. Once you leave, you are no longer a member of the Zhang family. I hope you understand. Gu Yechen carefully stored away one of the agreements. Though it bore no legal weight and was largely inconsequential, it was better than having nothing. Mr. Jiang, rest assured. I may lack in many areas, but I am not the type to gossip behind people's backs like some feeble souls. Furthermore, I have no desire to associate with you. After saying this, he cast a pointed glance at Jiang Zihua, remarking, always prattling on like a woman. Gu Yechen nearly voiced the name of that effeminate man. Jiang Zihua, his face flushed with anger, dared not speak. He feared a slap from Gu Yechen. He had witnessed firsthand that Gu Yechen truly regarded no one with respect. As Gu Yechen wheeled his suitcase out of the Jiang residence, he felt as if the air itself had become invigorating. A year? Nonsense. Gu Yechen smirked, a smile playing at the corners of his mouth. Congratulations, host. You have successfully severed ties. Reward, 100 ownership of Shuyuexuan International Hotel. The contract has been duly signed. Special reward, 100 trillion in funds. 1 purple gold black card. You can access 100 trillion in funds at any time without any hindrance. The system has already bound you to all banking payment systems worldwide. Any bank card or payment method you possess can be used directly for payments. The purple gold black card, a globally accepted bank card issued by a Swiss bank, of which only 6 exist in the world. Gu Yechen, who had been inhaling the fresh air, nearly lost his balance upon hearing the system's announcement. He steadied himself against his suitcase and opened the system panel. Name, Gu Yechen. Age, 18. Funds, 100 trillion and 100. Physique, 55, normal. Appearance, 95 points, incredibly handsome. Mental strength, 25 points. Special ability, expert driving skills. Exceptional academic prowess, special item. Purple gold black card, enhancement points. 0. Gu Yechen still found it hard to believe, for such unimaginable wealth had suddenly fallen upon him. System, are you certain all of this is real? Gu Yechen inquired. This system never deceives. Then how do I access the items in the system space? Gu Yechen gazed at the treasures, his eyes gleaming with envy. Simply think about retrieving them. Shuyuexuan International Hotel has also been processed. You fully own it. With a thought, a car key, driver's license, and vehicle registration appeared in his hand, prompting Gu Yechen to grin widely. He hailed a car, eager to purchase a property without delay. Young man, where to? The driver, a middle-aged man with a genial demeanor, appeared quite honest. Hello. I am headed to the British residence, Gu Yechen stated, having already researched that the most expensive property in Shanghai City was located there. The driver seemed surprised but asked no further questions, shifting gears and setting off. The British residence stood as the premier luxury estate in the entirety of Shanghai City, where every inch of land was worth its weight in gold. Behind it lay the most prosperous area of the city, where a mere 12 square kilometer stretch generated over 10 trillion. Unmatched by any other. Many towering companies had established their headquarters here, making it the locale with the highest number of publicly listed companies in the city. The British residence comprised 50 independent villas, each typically 3 stories high, with most covering an area of over 400 square meters, including a private garden. It was said that the largest villa exceeded 1,000 square meters, with a garden of 500 square meters. Additionally, there were 10 luxury flat apartments, not villas, with prices reaching 25,000 per square meter. Vehicles worth less than 200,000 could enter, provided one was not concerned about appearances. This was the gathering place for the wealthy of Shanghai City. Only extraordinary individuals could afford to buy a home here. Each villa featured its own indoor and outdoor parking spaces, with the minimum starting at a Bentley. System, is there any way to enhance my physique? My previous body was subpar, but this one is even worse, with only 55 points, normal being 50. I need to at least reach 1,000, Gu Yechen lamented. Though he knew he should not think this way after gaining a new lease on life. Nonetheless, it was too disappointing to be just 5 points above average. Thankfully, his looks were somewhat better than before, which provided a small consolation. This system will periodically trigger hidden sign-in rewards, offering chances for a lottery draw, which could yield physique pills and various other items. Additionally, consuming the funds provided by the system can earn enhancement points to elevate your abilities, physique, or mental strength. Among other things, Gu Yechen nodded, and a round object appeared in his hand, causing him to pause in surprise. This is a physique pill gifted by the system. One pill can enhance your physique by 3 points. Its effects can rejuvenate and even save lives. A person can use a maximum of 5 pills. Before the system could finish, Gu Yechen promptly swallowed the pill, feeling a surge of warmth coursing through his body, resulting in a noticeable change in his physique. Excellent. Excellent. Gu Yechen assessed his bodily condition and felt quite satisfied. After a smooth 30-minute drive, the vehicle gradually came to a halt in front of the British residence area. Gu Yechen gently pushed open the car door and stepped out. After settling the fare, he stood still, gazing at the majestic mansion before him. The British residence villa district loomed like a collection of solemn and mysterious castles. Its architectural design was uniquely imaginative, blending modern and classical elements, delivering a powerful visual impact. Surrounding the villas was a bustling scene, with throngs of pedestrians and a cacophony of vehicles. People hurriedly moved about, each with their destinations. This was a fast-paced society, especially in a first-class city like Shanghai, where the rhythm of life surpassed that of ordinary cities. One could choose not to strive, but they would undoubtedly fall behind. Sunlight filtered through the clouds, casting a golden glow upon the villas. Bathed in sunlight, Gu Yechen's silhouette stretched long. He tilted his head slightly, gazing up at the towering buildings, a complex emotion welling up within him. He had never envisioned this day would come, yet here he stood, with 100 trillion in funds, surpassing the personal wealth of anyone else in the world. Before the villa's grand entrance, there was an open square for exercise or leisurely strolls. The ground was paved with smooth stone, exuding an air of cleanliness and elegance. Several exquisite flower beds adorned the square, vibrant blossoms vying for attention and releasing enchanting fragrances. Among the blooms, butterflies danced gracefully, harmonizing with the surrounding environment. Not far away, a group of children frolicked joyfully, their laughter echoing in the air, adding a lively atmosphere to the area. Meanwhile, some hurried individuals passed by Gu Yechen, preoccupied with work or enjoying their leisure time. Gu Yechen adjusted his belongings with meticulous care, demonstrating his attention to detail. He then strode purposefully towards the entrance of the villa sales office. Each step he took resonated with determination, as though he was about to enter an entirely new world, one filled with the unknown and challenges. From the moment he severed ties, he had been prepared to embrace whatever lay ahead. Chapter 7. House Viewing. Gu Yechen, clad in a simple outfit reminiscent of a street vendor's wares, stepped into the sales office of the British manor. In the center stood a large model display featuring various architectural designs, yet the space was sparsely populated. Only a handful of female sales representatives lingered together, engrossed in their phones and idle chatter. This was somewhat expected, for properties priced in the hundreds of millions were not within everyone's reach. Upon Gu Yechen's entrance, the saleswomen, noticing his modest attire, exhibited no inclination to rise and greet him. The British Manor Villa District had been open for 5 years, and the availability of standalone villas was dwindling. The 10 remaining large flats each soared 35 stories high. Yet their exorbitant price tags, each costing nearly 100 million, rendered them unattainable for most. When the development first launched, it had garnered media attention, with throngs of eager buyers lining up despite the presence of agents. Now, it seemed that nearly every affluent individual possessed a residence within the British Manor, a veritable haven for the wealthy. Familiarity in such circles could potentially lead to lucrative collaborations. After all, these were all titans of industry. The current sales team bore little resemblance to the original members, many of whom were internal hires from the developer S ranks, boasting an unmatched work ethic and enthusiasm. In the beginning, each sale could yield them millions in commission. The current recruits, however, were a far cry from their predecessors, primarily due to the difficulty in selling properties. Yet, even a single sale could net them a commission of 1%, an enticing sum. Yet buyers capable of purchasing such luxury were few and far between. As Gu Yechen observed the sales team, he shook his head in disdain, silently lamenting their narrow-mindedness. After all, he had entered in haste, without the luxury of changing into more suitable attire. Glancing towards the reception area, which was equally devoid of personnel, he meandered towards the model display. Beep. Congratulations, host. You have triggered a hidden sign-in task, granting you a lottery opportunity. Would you like to proceed? While Gu Yechen was absorbed in examining the model, a system notification startled him. He scanned the vicinity, relieved to find that no one was paying him any mind. Otherwise, he might have been mistaken for a lunatic. A lottery. Gu Yechen felt a thrill of excitement. He had merely come to view a property and stumbled upon a hidden opportunity. Upon voicing his desire to participate in the lottery, a virtual wheel materialized before him, complete with a spinning pointer and a launch button in the lower right corner. The wheel displayed various rewards, and Gu Yechen could hardly contain his elation. After several rotations, the wheel gradually slowed and finally settled on a square. Congratulations, host. You have acquired the eye skill, Void Vision. Void Vision allows you to perceive the data of individuals you encounter in its entirety. Splendid. Gu Yechen thought to himself, believing that anything bestowed by the system was inherently valuable. However, he remained uncertain about how to utilize this newfound ability, only experiencing a peculiar sensation in his eyes. Good day, sir. How may I address you? A gentle, melodic voice broke his reverie. Gu Yechen turned to find a young woman before him. Name, Liang Shi. Age, 23. Appearance, 88. Health, excellent. Development status, 0. Yet to be developed. Gu Yechen was taken aback. He hadn't anticipated that Void Vision would reveal such details, including whether an individual had any prior experience. Liang Shi had recently graduated from university and managed to secure her position here through connections, albeit with some financial investment. Hailing from a modest background, she had come seeking fortune, having heard that real estate was lucrative. However, in her 2 months of employment, she had yet to close a single deal, a sentiment shared by many of her colleagues. In the span of 2 months, the number of customers had been scant, and as a newcomer, she found herself overshadowed by more seasoned employees. The competition was fierce, and even veteran staff were vying for a limited clientele, leaving her with little opportunity. Coincidentally, she returned from fetching some items and noticed a young man perusing the model display, standing unattended. Adhering to the principle of customer service, and seeing that no senior staff were attending to him, she felt compelled to approach him, recognizing him as a potential client. Hello, my surname is Gu. As Gu Yechen emerged from his reverie, he noted that the woman before him possessed commendable beauty, her score of 88 reflecting her appeal. Unlike others, she displayed genuine interest, which further enhanced his impression of her. Mr. Gu, greetings. I noticed you observing the model display. May I assist you in viewing properties? Liang Shi clasped her hands together at her waist, adorned in professional attire that accentuated her figure. Very well. Gu Yechen nodded appreciatively. Liang Shi's excitement surged. Finally, a customer. After 2 months without a sale, she felt a flicker of hope. Sir, what are your preferences for the property you desire? Gu Yechen pondered briefly before responding. A standalone villa, please. Immediately, Liang Shi began to elaborate on the offerings. The selection of villas was limited, and ultimately, Gu Yechen opted for the prime unit, the most prestigious and costly, boasting an expansive area exceeding 1,000 square meters. Liang Shi dashed off to retrieve the keys, eager not to let this opportunity slip away. Xiaoxi, are you taking him to view properties? Inquired a woman of around 35, observing Liang Shi. Yes, Wang Jie. This gentleman expressed interest in seeing the houses. Not everyone can afford to buy here, and you're showing him the most expensive unit. If anything were to go awry, you'd be held accountable. The woman chuckled, watching Liang Shi with a knowing smile. Rest assured, I will be cautious. Liang Shi replied, eager to lead Gu Yechen away. Gu Yechen cast a glance at her, but remained silent, preferring to reserve judgment for the conclusion of the visit. The woman shook her head, remarking, in this industry, one must possess at least a modicum of discernment. I wonder how she managed to secure her position. Is Liang Shi truly taking him to view properties? The cheapest square meter here is 25,000. He is dressed in such humble attire, clearly here, just to browse. How could she be so oblivious? Indeed, Liangxi is still quite young. Perhaps he is merely window shopping, and she'll end up wasting her time. Laughter erupted among the sales team. The atmosphere thick with skepticism. Such naivety was typical for someone inexperienced in the field, easily misled by appearances. After all, who would expect a person in casual attire to aspire to purchase a luxury residence? It seemed nothing short of a jest. Chapter 8, Villa No. 1. As Liangxi opened the grand door of the villa, the two entered the estate, spanning an impressive 600 square meters. The meticulously crafted landscape was adorned with a plethora of flora and fauna, the air imbued with a refreshing essence of earthiness that invigorated Gu Yechen's spirit. This was a place of profound satisfaction for him. Upon entering the villa, Gu Yechen was immediately captivated. The opulent decor exuded luxury, and the warm lighting created a soothing ambience, with the option to select from a myriad of colors. Sir, welcome to our crown jewel, building number 1. The area on the property deed is 1,000 square meters, but the actual total area is 1,300 square meters. As he listened to Liangxi's introduction, Gu Yechen nodded appreciatively. The villa consisted of 5 floors, equipped with both elevators and staircases. The ground floor featured a spacious living room, dining area, kitchen, public restroom, for servant quarters, and a wine cellar. The entire mansion was outfitted with central air conditioning, a detail Liangxi enthusiastically highlighted as she guided Gu Yechen through the first floor. The living room boasted a grand double-height ceiling, connecting seamlessly to the second floor, with a height exceeding 15 meters, creating an atmosphere that felt anything but oppressive. Approaching the expansive glass windows, Gu Yechen felt the warm sunlight caress his face, and he gazed contemplatively at the picturesque estate before him, tapping lightly on the glass, producing a resonant sound. Sir, the glass before you is no ordinary material. It is a super glass developed domestically. According to military tests, it can withstand standard artillery shells, surpassing the glass in most countries worldwide. The cost of designing such large floor-to-ceiling windows is indeed considerable. With a discerning eye, Gu Yechen absorbed the information, growing increasingly impressed by the villa's design and construction as he followed Liangxi upstairs. The second floor primarily housed the bedrooms, featuring 5 guest rooms, each equipped with its own bathroom and small balcony. Liangxi's expertise in her presentation made the experience enjoyable for Gu Yechen. The third floor was dedicated to leisure and entertainment, showcasing a gym, home theater, and game room. As Liangxi led him through the third floor, Gu Yechen was drawn to the advanced fitness equipment, his enthusiasm slightly tempered by the realization of his own lack of physical condition. The home theater boasted an impressively large screen, and Liangxi activated it, allowing Gu Yechen to experience the exceptional sound quality that enveloped him in cinematic immersion. The game room was replete with various gaming facilities and entertainment options, ideal for relaxation and enjoyment. The fourth floor featured an indoor swimming pool and 3 additional rooms, typically designated for post-swim relaxation. The water was changed daily, purified and filtered by a specialized supply company to eliminate bacteria, with monitoring equipment in place to ensure safety. Liangxi then fetched 2 cups from a nearby table and filled them with water from the pool, offering one to Gu Yechen. Taken aback, Gu Yechen hesitated, having merely intended to observe. Liangxi, however, eagerly awaited his response. Feeling somewhat compelled by her gaze, Gu Yechen took a sip, surprised by the sweet taste reminiscent of spring water. Is this water representative of the entire villa? He inquired, looking at her. Indeed, sir. The pool water is identical to that used throughout the villa. Should any issues arise, an alarm system will promptly notify the owner. The 5th floor comprised the master suite, study, walk-in closet, and master bathroom. The master bedroom was spacious and exquisitely decorated, while the adjoining bathroom epitomized opulence. The study was steeped in a scholarly atmosphere, sunlight streaming through the windows onto the bookshelves, evoking a sense of accumulated knowledge. A rooftop terrace offered a breathtaking view of the estate in the Pearl River estuary, furnished with comfortable chairs and loungers, perfect for leisurely moments. Gu Yechen approached the edge of the terrace, relishing the gentle breeze, feeling utterly at ease. Sir, the 6th floor? Gu Yechen paused, turning to Liangxi, slightly perplexed by the mention of a 6th floor when he had been informed of only 5. Correct. But the 6th floor consists solely of a large room. It was specifically constructed by the developer to preemptively address any potential issues with the master suite. Of course, it has been inspected and is deemed satisfactory, thus it has been designed as an attic for storage. Upon completion of her tour, Gu Yechen gained a comprehensive understanding of the villa. He could not help but admire that this was not merely a residence, it was a work of art. The two stepped outside to admire the villa's exterior. Gu Yechen stood before the structure, scrutinizing its elegant façade. The villa exuded sophistication, its exterior clad in high-quality stone, shimmering under the sun's warm glow. The classic sloped roof, adorned with deep gray tiles, provided a sense of stability and grandeur. Surrounding the main building was a lush garden, bursting with vibrant flowers that resembled a colorful sea. The garden artfully incorporated uniquely shaped stones and gently flowing streams, their crystal-clear water producing a soothing sound. The grand entrance, crafted from solid wood and intricately carved, emanated a sense of antiquity. Towering trees encircled the villa, their leafy canopies offering shelter from the elements. Viewed from a distance, the villa harmoniously blended with the surrounding landscape, creating a breathtaking tableau that left one enamored. Mr. Gu, please return to the sales office for now. I will tidy up the villa and join you shortly. As Gu Yechen wandered through the villa, savoring every detail, he felt a profound sense of satisfaction and had already made a decision. Turning to Liang Shi, he stated, "No need to tidy up. I am very pleased with this villa. I shall take it." Liang Shi's expression shifted to one of astonishment, her eyes wide as she regarded Gu Yechen. "Mr. Gu, are you certain you wish to proceed with the purchase?" "Indeed, I have taken a liking to this house. It shall be mine," Gu Yechen replied calmly. A radiant smile illuminated Liang Shi's face as she eagerly responded, "Very well, sir. Shall we proceed with the necessary formalities?" Gu Yechen nodded in agreement, "Certainly. But I would first like to meet with your supervisor." Chapter 9. Securing the property, all right. I will contact you immediately. Let us return to the sales office first. Gu Yechen nodded and followed Liang Shi back to the sales office. During this time, Liang Shi remained in a daze. She could hardly believe that she had successfully sold a property, and not just any property, but the most luxurious and expensive villa in the entire British Manor. A smile unconsciously crept onto her lips. She calculated the situation of this property. Based on the sales data, the price per square meter was 500,000, which meant the total price was 500 million. With a commission rate of 1%, she would earn 5 million. Liang Shi suddenly broke into a silly grin. Gu Yechen glanced at her, noticing her somewhat foolish demeanor, and silently wondered, after all this effort to choose this property, has this child lost her mind? Liang Shi seemed to sense something, turned her head, and locked eyes with Gu Yechen. Her cheeks instantly flushed. She realized she had lost her composure. She stuck out her tongue and hurriedly said, Mr. Gu, you didn't see anything, right?" Liang Shi felt helpless, for the commission was simply too substantial. She had never seen so much money in her life. Her family was not wealthy. Her parents had scrimped and saved to support her education through university. Thus, this amount felt astronomical to her. A house back in her hometown cost around 400,000, which could buy her over 10 houses. "Is it not concerning that I am dressed this way, and you are not worried I might be deceiving you?" Gu Yechen raised an eyebrow and said with a smile. Liang Shi was startled. After finally securing a client, she worried it might all fall apart. This thought raced through her mind, though she could not voice it. "Mr. Gu, you jest. Regardless of whether you choose to purchase or not, it is my duty to assist you. I cannot simply ignore a customer." Liang Shi felt a pang of disappointment, but maintained her basic etiquette. Gu Yechen nodded in satisfaction. Upon returning to the sales office, Gu Yechen settled in the customer lounge while Liang Shi went to inform the manager of the situation and prepare the contract. "Mr. Gu, I have already notified our manager. He will be here shortly." Liang Shi remained standing, refusing to take a seat. Gu Yechen nodded and said, "Yes, I will wait for him here. You need not stand. Please sit." Gu Yechen could not help but admire the excellent service attitude of this young woman. Before long, the manager rushed in with the finance officer. "Hello, are you Mr. Gu?" The manager looked at Gu Yechen incredulously, for the young man appeared remarkably youthful. "That's me. Please, have a seat." Gu Yechen gestured. "Mr. Gu, my surname is Wang. Liang Shi mentioned that you wish to meet with management before signing. While I may not be the highest authority here at the British Manor sales office, I can certainly make decisions. Please feel free to share any suggestions you may have. I will do my utmost to accommodate them." The manager's attitude was commendable, which pleased Gu Yechen. "When I arrived, I stood in front of that building model for 6 or 7 minutes without anyone coming to assist me. It was only when Liang Shi, who happened to be fetching something, saw me standing there that she came to help. During that time, I overheard some of your employees making derogatory remarks about me. When Liang Shi and I went to view the property, I also heard some employees gossiping. Is it because I am dressed simply that I am treated differently? I would like to know if they are here to work and earn a living or merely to pass the time." Gu Yechen spoke calmly. Manager Wang's expression suddenly changed as he looked at Liang Shi. "Is there any truth to this?" Liang Shi was about to speak when Gu Yechen continued, "Manager Wang, you are an intelligent person. This matter should not be directed at Liang Shi." Manager Wang nodded and made a phone call. As he listened, his face grew increasingly pale. "Mr. Gu, I apologize. It is my management oversight. I had someone investigate, and indeed, 3 employees behaved as you described. Rest assured, I will provide you with an explanation." He turned to the finance officer beside him, who instantly understood, summoning the disgraced employees along with a few others. Upon seeing the unfolding scene, the 3 women turned ashen. They realized their fate was sealed. "Apologize," Manager Wang said flatly, his tone carrying an air of authority. The 3 women bowed and offered their apologies to Gu Yechen. "Effective immediately, you are dismissed. We do not require employees who show disrespect to customers. Moreover, you were hired to work for the company. and you are expected to treat every client with respect, regardless of their appearance, as long as they are not criminals or harassers. Your annual performance bonuses are hereby revoked. Manager Wang's expression darkened. Mr. Gu, how do you find this resolution? He asked nervously, fearing Gu Yechen would demand further dismissals. Leaving only Liang Shi as the sole sales employee. Gu Yechen nodded and raised an eyebrow at Liang Shi, saying, the contract. Liang Shi hesitated for a moment before hurriedly passing the contract to him. Gu Yechen glanced it over, found no issues, and promptly signed. Mr. Gu, the total price amounts to 500 million. Here is the property in question, featuring a garden of 500 square meters, with a total building area of 1,000 square meters and an actual area reaching 1,300 square meters. How do you intend to proceed with the payment? Manager Wang cheerfully presented a diagram. Gu Yechen calmly produced an ordinary-looking bank card and handed it over. He did not use a prestigious black card. The finance staff respectfully received it, then began to process the substantial transaction with a mix of tension and order. As time passed, by the time all procedures were completed, it was already 5:30 in the afternoon. Typically, everyone would have left by this hour, yet today, no one departed, not even the recently dismissed employees who lingered on-site. They could hardly fathom that Liang Shi had genuinely sold the coveted number 1 building. This villa was the priciest in the entire estate, rarely considered for purchase. Yet, unexpectedly, Gu Yechen had decisively opted for a full cash payment, without a hint of hesitation. Consequently, Liang Shi reaped a remarkable commission of 5 million. At the moment the payment was successfully processed, the hearts of the disgraced women felt as if they were being twisted by a knife. They were filled with regret, despising their previous disdain. Had they not allowed their biases to cloud their judgment, that 5 million would have rightfully belonged to them. They lamented their actions, incessantly berating themselves. If only time could rewind, they would have treated Liang Shi and every customer with a completely different attitude. Alas, there is no remedy for regret in this world, and they could only watch helplessly as the wealth that should have been theirs slipped away, leaving them engulfed in endless remorse and disappointment. Chapter 10. Arrival at the Shuexuan Hotel. Gu Yechen returned to his abode, settling onto the sofa, enveloped in an ethereal sensation. After a brief respite, he ventured out, driven by the primal urge to dine. In the grand scheme of life, nourishment reigns supreme. While Gu Yechen could endure personal discomfort, he would never compromise his appetite. Coincidentally, the system had rewarded him with a stay at the Shuexuan International Hotel, an opportunity too enticing to overlook. After a moment of contemplation regarding his hunger, Gu Yechen decided to embark on his excursion. He summoned a Bugatti Chiron from the system's space, and the sight of the car, emerging in a cascade of elegance, left him momentarily dazzled. The vehicle's exterior was adorned in a profound black-gray hue, featuring a uniquely textured rear design, rendering it a sight to behold. Even more remarkable was the license plate, B88888, a testament to the system's extraordinary capabilities. With a firm press on the accelerator, the car's engine roared to life, attracting admiring glances from passers-by. Upon arriving at the hotel, the Bugatti Chiron came to a graceful halt, its striking appearance and exorbitant price captivating the attention of all around. Bystanders gasped in awe, their gazes drawn irresistibly to the spectacle. A group of young women paused, their expressions reflecting fascination as they speculated about the identity of its occupant, dreaming of the satisfaction that would accompany a simple journey alongside him. Little did they realize that such an encounter lay beyond their reach. At that moment, the young man emerging from the limited edition supercar was none other than Gu Yechen. Hotel staff approached to extend their greetings. Gu Yechen stepped forward, intending to hand over the car keys for parking arrangements. However, the staff appeared somewhat flustered, perhaps having never encountered such a rare vehicle. Hesitantly, they suggested, "Sir, this car is exceedingly precious. Might it be best if you park it yourself?" Clearly, they were awed by the Bugatti's distinctive aura. Gu Yechen smiled in understanding. The staff subsequently guided him to a premium parking space, ensuring a serene environment to mitigate the risk of any damage. The Shuexuan International Hotel stands as the largest and most opulent establishment in the entire Guangdong province, boasting 35 floors above ground and 5 below. The first through fourth floors are occupied by casual dining establishments, while the fifth floor is designated for international conferences. The sixth to ninth floors house standard guest rooms. The 10th floor serves as a smoking area, and the 11th to 13th floors offer deluxe accommodations. The 14th to 16th floors are reserved for presidential suites, while the 17th to 19th floors contain private dining rooms. The 20th floor is another smoking area, and the 21st to 22nd floors feature premium private rooms. Floors 23 to 26 are dedicated to various leisure and entertainment facilities, including bars, gyms, swimming pools, cinemas, arcades, and KTV lounges. The upper floors, from 26 onwards, are exclusive, accessible only to the highest tier members. Floors 26 to 29 comprise KTV lounges, upscale bars, gyms, and swimming pools, each equipped with a designated smoking area. The 33rd to 32nd floors boast the most luxurious private rooms, typically frequented by Supreme members. Above these are the ultra-luxurious presidential suites, reserved solely for elite clientele. The 35th floor features an observation deck, offering breathtaking views of the nightscape of Shanghai City. Each level is staffed, with 3 independent elevators serving each area. The general public cannot access the highest tiers, though higher-tier members may enter lower-tier zones. The hotel rises to a height of 200 meters. A beautiful server approached, greeting. "Good day, sir. Dining or lodging?" Her hands rested gracefully at her waist. "Dining, please," Gu Yechen replied with a casual demeanor. The server glanced behind Gu Yechen, her smile widening as she inquired. "May I ask how many will be dining with you?" "Just one." "Very well, sir. Right this way, please." The server did not judge Gu Yechen based on his attire, but rather greeted him with utmost respect. Gu Yechen nodded in approval, apart from the security guard. He was quite satisfied with the service thus far. "Sir, do you possess a membership card?" the server asked. "This is my first visit. I do not have one," he replied. The young woman led him to the front desk to clarify the situation. "Greetings, sir. There is a matter I must discuss with you." Gu Yechen glanced at the receptionist, her information materializing before him. Name: Chun Xiaoying. Age: 27. Appearance: 85. Health: excellent. Number of previous clients: 1, indicating she had been engaged by one individual. "Proceed," Gu Yechen urged, his gaze sweeping over the other receptionists, all of whom were stunning. Though regrettably, most had already been developed. "Certainly, sir. Our hotel is meticulously divided into zones. Shu Yuexuan places great emphasis on the selection of ingredients, procuring fresh produce daily to guarantee quality and freshness. We exercise stringent oversight on the sourcing and harvesting of ingredients to ensure they meet the highest standards. The majority of our ingredients are imported on the same day, ensuring freshness and unique flavors. Any subpar items are outright rejected. Regarding our pricing policy, non-member patrons must pay upfront after ordering, and prices are generally higher. How does the membership system work?" Gu Yechen pondered, finding the policy somewhat unfriendly to ordinary individuals. Yet the requirement to pay after ordering was reasonable. "Our membership tiers vary, ranging from a basic 3 million yuan standard membership to a 7 million yuan premium membership, culminating in a 10 million yuan supreme membership, catering to diverse client needs. Standard members enjoy basic private room services. Premium members have access to advanced private rooms, while supreme members can access services on the 26th floor and above. Which membership tier do you wish to choose?" "I shall opt for the 10 million supreme membership," Gu Yechen decided. The front desk staff were taken aback by the prospect of a single 10 million yuan transaction, as most patrons typically enrolled for standard memberships. Such an extravagant deposit was beyond the imagination of ordinary clients, prompting the front desk to immediately contact the lobby manager for confirmation. "Hello, I am Zhang Yun, the lobby manager of Shu Yuexuan Hotel. I will be assisting you from here." A woman in a black professional outfit approached gracefully, exuding an air of elegance and competence, her smile warm and inviting as she acknowledged Gu Yechen. Gu Yechen nodded in reply. "Hello." The lobby manager scrutinized Gu Yechen, noting his unassuming attire, yet recognizing him as a hotel guest. Maintaining her professionalism and poise, she inquired, "Sir, according to the front desk, you wish to apply for the 10 million yuan highest-tier membership card?" Gu Yechen succinctly affirmed, "Yes, and please arrange for the finest luxurious presidential suite as well." "Understood, sir. Please provide your identification, and we will process your membership card," the lobby manager replied, her demeanor poised and respectful, hands resting naturally at her sides, her smile unwavering. Gu Yechen promptly presented his identification. The system had updated it, so his name now read Gu Yechen, no longer Jiang Nan. Chapter 11. Zhang Yun at this moment. The lobby manager felt a flicker of uncertainty as she meticulously scrutinized Gu Yechen. Despite his understated attire, she held him in profound esteem. After all, he was a distinguished client who could potentially bring 10 million in revenue to the hotel. This was also a fundamental courtesy of Shu Yuexuan Hotel. However, she began to ponder how to handle the situation if the customer was unable to make payment. Although she noticed his simple clothing, she politely inquired, "Sir, which payment method would you prefer?" Internally, she calculated her response in case the funds did not materialize promptly, aware that large transactions invariably carried a degree of risk. Just as she was contemplating her strategy, Gu Yechen calmly produced a golden black card and stated, "Please charge it." This action left everyone in the hotel momentarily stunned, as they had never encountered such an extraordinary card. Curiosity piqued, some began to investigate the origins and backstory of this black card. The 6 purple gold black cards issued globally were shrouded in mystery, owned by individuals of considerable wealth. Today, a seemingly ordinary young man in simple clothes had revealed this unprecedented treasure. As soon as the card was presented, nearly all the front desk staff encircled him. The lobby manager, taken aback by this unexpected turn of events, briefly hesitated before courteously stating, "Sir, please hold on a moment while I make a call." with grace. She turned and took a few steps away. Shortly thereafter, she returned with a respectful tone, announcing, "Sir, I just inquired with our general manager, and it appears that you possess a limited edition purple gold black card issued by Swiss Bank. You are now entitled to a 30% discount on all services offered by our hotel." Her demeanor was poised, and her words were fitting. Gu Yechen cast a glance at the lobby manager. Name, Zhang Yun. Age, 25. Appearance, 92. Health, excellent. Development instances, 0. He nodded slightly. She was indeed impressive. A beauty scoring 92 was among the elite, and most importantly, she had yet to be developed. He resolved to seek an opportunity for that. There was also Liang Shi. The gazes of those around converged on this moment. Shui Wuxian Hotel had never extended such a grand discount. As the foremost ultra-luxury 5-star hotel in Shanghai City, it was practically at a 6-star level, limited only by national regulations capping hotels at 5 stars. Even Supreme members did not enjoy such a discount. When the lobby manager announced this news, everyone present was left in astonishment. Earlier, they had seen Gu Yechen dressed ordinarily and had quietly ridiculed him, assuming his clothing was worth only 300 to 400 yuan, no different from an average passerby. However, upon witnessing him produce the purple gold black card, their attitudes underwent a dramatic transformation as they all sought to ingratiate themselves with him. For anyone in possession of such a card was undoubtedly a concealed tycoon, surpassing even the offspring of the wealthy. Zhang Yun respectfully accepted the purple gold black card and proceeded to the front desk, where she successfully processed the transaction in no time. The notification of a successful charge elicited expressions of astonishment from all, as this was no trivial sum. Many would struggle to produce 10 million in cash at a moment's notice. This added further layers to their perceptions of Gu Yechen. He understood their initial thoughts, after all. He had dressed in the most pedestrian attire. He was indifferent to these suspicions, having long since grown accustomed to derision and disdain throughout his life. The accumulated dismissals he faced could probably encircle the globe. Despite their superficial skepticism, they maintained professionalism and courtesy. He sensed that a few of the female receptionists felt a twinge of regret, perhaps thinking they should have been more proactive earlier. Zhang Yun returned the processed card, identification, a top-tier Supreme membership card, and a room key to Gu Yechen, politely stating, "Mr. Gu, please follow me," while gesturing invitingly. Gu Yechen accepted the cards and expressed his gratitude, requesting, "May I have one more room key, please?" "Thank you." Internally, he mused. This manager was rather adept. His mind then sparked with curiosity as he asked, "What do you think of Zhang Yun as the hotel general manager?" The system replied, "Host, your idea is excellent. Records indicate that the current general manager embezzles millions monthly. Replacing him is a wise choice. Zhang Yun is a capable assistant, and this would be her first opportunity. Do seize it, you old rascal of a system." Gu Yechen pretended to scold. While assimilating information about the hotel, Gu Yechen had learned about Zhang Yun's performance. She had been the lobby manager for 2.5 years, demonstrating diligence and earning the trust of both employees and customers. The current general manager, plagued by severe embezzlement issues and lacking competence, had escaped scrutiny due to the hotel's substantial monthly revenue. However, the situation had worsened in recent days. As lobby manager, Zhang Yun had excelled in her role for over 2 years, known for her meticulous work ethic, attention to detail, and exceptional interpersonal skills, qualities that had propelled her from a mere service staff member to her current position. Zhang Yun led Gu Yechen to the presidential suite, introducing, "Mr. Gu, this is our hotel's most luxurious room, situated in the best location. Here is a specially curated menu for your perusal. We will serve your dishes shortly. This is my business card. Should you have any needs, please do not hesitate to call. Our hotel is committed to providing you with the finest service." Shui Wuxian Hotel categorizes its offerings into 4 classes: Tian, Di, Xian, and Huang, with Tian being the highest, representing the luxurious presidential suite. Zhang Yun handed Gu Yechen her personal business card, an exquisite one typically reserved for individuals meeting her specific standards. Her gesture suggested a hint of interest in him. After all, who wouldn't be drawn to a wealthy individual? Gu Yechen accepted the card with a nod, selecting a dozen dishes, including some he had never tried before. However, one dish he was determined to order was the classic tomato scrambled eggs, with just a dash of sugar. The flavor was simply divine. Meanwhile, Zhang Yun stood respectfully by his side. Before long, all the dishes were served, displaying a vibrant array of colors and fresh ingredients, including various seafood and imported delicacies, all crafted from the finest materials. Each dish was tantalizing, igniting a voracious appetite. Gu Yechen savored every bite, praising the culinary standards of this top-tier establishment, as the exquisite flavors and presentation greatly delighted his palate. "Mr. Gu, may I inquire if you are satisfied with the dishes offered by Shui Wuxian Hotel?" Zhang Yun stood behind him, aware that she had yet to indulge in such luxuries herself, as her salary often left little left to spare after each payday. Chapter 12. Establishing Identity. Gu Yechen let out a hearty laugh. "Ha, splendid. I am immensely satisfied. It seems the top hotel in Guangdong province lives up to its reputation. Mr. Gu, I am glad to hear that. I shall not interrupt your meal any further. Enjoy your dining experience, and feel free to call me should you require anything, Zhang Yun said, preparing to depart. Casting a glance at Zhang Yun, he suggested, why not join me for a meal? Zhang Yun was taken aback. She had not anticipated dining with such a distinguished guest. Merely being permitted to stand was already a privilege, and she dared not wish for anything more. After a moment of hesitation, she replied, Mr. Gu, that may not be appropriate. I still have work to attend to, as it is still during work hours. Oh, Miss Zhang, there is an abundance of delectable dishes. I cannot possibly consume them all alone. Might I have the honor of your company for dinner? Mr. Gu, that would not be suitable. You are a guest, and we are the service staff. No employee is allowed to dine with a guest, as it contradicts our hotel's regulations. Despite her desire to share a meal with Gu Yechen, she felt bound by the rules. If she were to gain his favor, it would be splendid. But if caught by the hotel management, it could lead to her demotion. Gu Yechen gestured to the chair. Please, take a seat, Manager Zhang. I wish to discuss a few matters with you. He continued, if the general manager of your esteemed hotel has any concerns or issues, do not hesitate to reach out to me. Zhang Yun hesitated but felt a spark of excitement upon noticing the prestigious purple gold black card in Gu Yechen's hand. She replied, very well, I understand. With that, she accepted and sat down. Subsequently, Zhang Yun uncorked an exquisite bottle of red wine valued at 180,000 and poured a glass for him. For such important clients, as long as they are not offended, they are likely to return. Thus, ensuring the guest's satisfaction was paramount. Gu Yechen remarked, I attend Tsinghua High School, and I have taken quite a liking to this private room. I may frequent it for dinner every evening. Zhang Yun was momentarily stunned. She recognized the youthfulness of the man before her, but did not expect him to still be in high school. She quickly grasped his implication and responded, understood. I shall request that this private room be reserved for you daily. Gu Yechen admired Zhang Yun's intelligence and perceptiveness. Some individuals can swiftly comprehend intentions even when they are not explicitly stated, and Zhang Yun was indeed one of those astute individuals. Since you are so astute, Manager Zhang, I shall be direct, he said, his tone turning serious. I presume you have heard the news regarding your hotel's change of ownership. This matter is no longer a secret. It has stirred considerable discussion online. A mysterious individual has fully acquired Shiyuexuan International Hotel, yet has yet to make an appearance. If it were not for the notice from the previous owner, the hotel staff would remain oblivious to this transition. However, it is rather peculiar that the new owner has not shown themselves since taking over. Yes, I am aware. The mysterious figure has indeed acquired our hotel without revealing themselves. Had it not been for the notice from the former owner, we would remain unaware. Yet, it is strange that the owner has not visited since assuming their role. Gu Yechen smiled lightly, addressing Zhang Yun. In truth, I am the new owner of your hotel. Though surprised, Zhang Yun quickly regained her composure. The young man before her was a student, and despite possessing a purple gold black card, it seemed unlikely according to rumors that the hotel had been sold for 15 billion. The notion was simply implausible. Zhang Yun inquired. The former owner provided only a photograph, and only the general manager has seen it. How can you prove your claim of ownership? Gu Yechen retrieved his phone, dialed a number, and set it to speaker mode. The ringing echoed, and soon a voice answered. In the general manager's office, a man lounged in a chair while a woman squatted before him, engaged in some task. Suddenly, the man's phone rang, and he promptly. The woman looked at the general manager with astonishment. The man, initially filled with anger, transformed his demeanor upon seeing the caller ID. Hello, Mr. Gu. Upon hearing the voice of the general manager, Zhang Yun was rendered speechless. Could it be that this young man truly was the new owner? Gu Yechen spoke slowly. How are things at the hotel? Although he was already aware of the hotel's operational status through his system, he still inquired. The voice on the other end replied, rest assured, everything is functioning smoothly, boss. Good, Gu Yechen responded succinctly before ending the call. Do you believe me now? Gu Yechen smiled at the remarkable woman before him, whose eyes were filled with disbelief. Zhang Yun immediately stood, exclaiming, "Oh, owner." She had never expected that the young man before her was indeed the owner. And he appeared so youthful. Please, sit, Gu Yechen said, hoping to seize the opportunity to win Zhang Yun over. With a slight upward curve of his lips, he gently urged, do not be nervous, relax. This is my first inspection, and on the surface, everything appears satisfactory. However, I have conducted some investigations behind the scenes and discovered that there are numerous issues to address. As I am still a student with limited time, I hope you can assist me. He continued to enjoy his meal as he spoke. What would you like me to do? Zhang Yun, who had initially been anxious, now steadied herself, her professional acumen evident. I intend to promote you to general manager and have you help me manage the hotel. Zhang Yun was momentarily taken aback. Boss, doesn't the hotel already have a general manager? I am not fond of the current one. He lacks competence and has secretly embezzled a significant amount of company funds. Therefore, I plan to dismiss him. I find you to be exceptionally suitable for this role. I merely wonder if you possess the confidence to take it on. Determination shone in Gu Yechen's eyes, exuding an irresistible aura of authority. In truth, Gu Yechen had already conducted a thorough assessment of Zhang Yun's abilities through the system. She came from a modest family, with parents and a younger brother relying on her. Despite the pressure that weighed heavily upon her, Zhang Yun had always been intelligent and capable, achieving the status of a school beauty during her academic years. Having been employed for 2.5 years, her performance was remarkable, a stark contrast to the incompetent manager currently in place. Zhang Yun was acutely aware that this was an incredible opportunity presented by the new owner. With her family's ordinary financial situation and the burden of supporting her parents and brother, she felt the weight of responsibility pressing down on her. Each month, after paying rent and covering her personal expenses, she sent the remainder of her salary home. Chapter 13. Capturing Zhang Yun. Zhang Yun comes from a modest background, living with her parents and younger brother. Her father is in the mid-stages of cancer, while her mother struggles to make ends meet with small jobs. Fortunately, her younger brother is a diligent university student in his 3rd year, excelling academically and working part-time to alleviate some of the financial burden on Zhang Yun. Previously, all the pressure rested heavily upon her shoulders, making it difficult for her to breathe. Each month, after covering her rent and daily expenses, she sends the remainder of her salary home. After a moment of contemplation, Zhang Yun seems to sense something. She gazes at Gu Yechen, attempting to glean insight from his expression, but finds nothing. She calmly inquires, "Boss, what are the conditions?" Gu Yechen admires Zhang Yun's intelligence, remarking, "You are both smart and beautiful. I have an affinity for women like you, elegant and unblemished. Do you understand what I mean?" Gu Yechen's gaze locks onto hers. Zhang Yun briefly closes her eyes, realizing she has guessed correctly. Although she has never had a boyfriend, many have pursued her. When she overheard Gu Yechen mention appointing her as the general manager, she had her suspicions but lacked the courage to confirm them. Now, hearing it from his lips makes her feel a rush of anxiety. Clearly unprepared, Gu Yechen reassures her, "If you are unwilling, there will be no repercussions. I assure you." He checks the time on his phone, stating, "I've had my fill. It's 8 o'clock now. I will lock the door at 9. You have 1 hour to ponder." After paying the bill, Gu Yechen places one of the 2-room keys before Zhang Yun. This was his intention from the outset, to give her the opportunity to utilize the key when the moment arrived. He then turns and departs. Zhang Yun watches Gu Yechen's retreating figure, her heart racing. An unprecedented pressure envelopes her, mingled with confusion and surprise. She comprehends the implications of Gu Yechen's proposal and recognizes that it could signify a substantial turning point in her life. Yet, she is acutely aware that accepting this proposal could provide her with the means to better support her family and improve their living conditions. Her gaze wavers between the room key and Gu Yechen's departing silhouette, as an internal struggle threatens to suffocate her. As the seconds tick by, her thoughts spiral into chaos. She envisions her parents' hopeful expressions, her brother's future, and the dreams and aspirations she has long harbored. Just then, her phone rings. It's a call from home. Taking a deep breath, she answers. Her mother's voice resonates with concern and anticipation, discussing her father's condition, inquiring about her recent circumstances, and mentioning her brother's studies, along with various family matters. Zhang Yun strives to keep her tone steady, assuring her mother that all is well and that she will send money home shortly. After ending the call, Zhang Yun's heart feels heavier. She knows she cannot live solely for herself. She bears the responsibility and obligation to assist her family, who love her dearly, including her brother. Simultaneously, she yearns for her own life, to pursue her dreams, yet the weight of familial expectations confines her. Recalling the sacrifices her parents made to ensure her education, selling possessions to afford her tuition, sending her money to guarantee she was well fed, fills her with emotion. She rises and approaches the window, gazing at the twinkling nightscape, her heart a battleground of conflicting desires. She realizes this is a remarkable opportunity. Whatever choice she makes will irrevocably alter the course of her life. Closing her eyes, she seeks to connect with her truest, bravest self. As time slowly passes, the clock approaches 9. Zhang Yun opens her eyes, a smile gracing her lips. She has made her decision. She cannot choose differently. And Gu Yechen is undeniably handsome and wealthy, while her financial situation is dire. Who wouldn't he be drawn to affluence? Grasping the room key, she steps out, heading towards Gu Yechen's opulent presidential suite. Though her steps are heavy, each one is imbued with determination. Standing before his door, she inhales deeply and swipes the key, opening the door. As it creaks ajar, Gu Yechen gazes at Zhang Yun, surprise flickering in his eyes. He presumed she would not arrive, yet here she stands. Having prepared herself until the last moment, Zhang Yun remains silent, but her entrance signifies that she has taken that step, otherwise, she would not be here. She hands the room key to Gu Yechen. Accepting the key, Gu Yechen observes her, recognizing that she has made a pivotal choice. This decision will spare her from traversing a more arduous path, marking a significant turning point in her life. Have you made your decision? He asks, taking a sip of his coffee. Zhang Yun lifts her gaze, unwavering determination shining through. Yes, I have decided. I can agree to your request. But will you truly appoint me as the general manager? A hint of worry laces her voice. She fears being deceived after her first surrender, uncertain of how she would cope in such a scenario. Gu Yechen smiles subtly. I appreciate your talent and beauty. Some may claim that appearance is not everything. But in my view, it holds considerable weight. Thus, you need not worry. My word is my bond. However, I must clarify that I will not be exclusive to you. If you feel unable to proceed, you may walk away and continue as the lobby manager. I will not hinder you nor retaliate against your career. Please, share your decision. Zhang Yun takes a deep breath and closes her eyes. She recognizes that a man of Gu Yechen's charm and wealth is unlikely to be faithful to one woman. Her motivations are straightforward. She simply wishes to earn enough to cover her father's medical expenses. Opening her eyes, she speaks slowly. All right, I agree. What is your bank account number? Gu Yechen inquires. Zhang Yun pauses, perplexed. Boss, what do you need my bank account number for? She momentarily loses her composure, appearing less astute than usual. I know you need money, so I will transfer some to you first, Gu Yechen replies nonchalantly. Is that acceptable? I have not yet committed anything. Tears well in Zhang Yun's eyes as she realizes that no one, aside from herself, understands the magnitude of her pressure. Her outward appearance may be polished, but the burden from her family is unimaginable, especially since her father was diagnosed with cancer at work, plunging their already struggling household into despair. In Gu Yechen's eyes, her mere entry into the room signifies her willingness to sacrifice. Zhang Yun notices Gu Yechen's silence as he gazes at her. She provides him with her account number, aware that further hesitation would be childish. Gu Yechen promptly transfers 1 million to her account. Upon receiving the notification, Zhang Yun stands frozen, staring blankly at her phone. Turning to Gu Yechen, her eyes well with tears that cascade down her cheeks, falling to the floor. She understands that her father's surgery can now be funded, and she is profoundly grateful to Gu Yechen. Seeing her tears, Gu Yechen approaches, gently stroking her hair and kissing away her tears. Go wash up, he advises tenderly. No need to cry. His gaze is filled with warmth. Zhang Yun nods, noting Gu Yechen's impressive height of at least 6 feet. She rises on her toes to plant a kiss on his cheek. If her prior actions were compelled, she now acts of her own volition. For this money can resolve her father's predicament. 20 minutes later, Zhang Yun emerges from the bathroom draped in a bathrobe, her hair damp and slightly misty, resembling a radiant lotus flower. Gu Yechen cannot help but appreciate the allure of a woman emerging from a bath. He retrieves a hairdryer, helping her dry her hair. The two then seamlessly proceed with the next steps. Gu Yechen's ancestral skills begin to unfold. 1,000 words of detail omitted. I trust this one to be deemed inappropriate, considering all crucial elements have been succinctly summarized. I am not quite certain about this either. Chapter 14. You truly are my good brother. The following day, at 6:30 in the morning, the two awoke from their slumber. After 2 hours of fervent activity the previous night, Zhang Yun felt utterly exhausted, having experienced such an event for the first time. She had undergone a transformation from girlhood to womanhood, and Gu Yechen's gentle treatment of her had left her somewhat infatuated, leading to a touch of wildness in her demeanor. Gu Yechen gazed at the woman before him and said, I must go to school now. You were quite fatigued last night. Please rest well. He then transferred 500,000 to Zhang Yun, leaving her astonished. She looked at him and queried, Mr. Gu, is this really acceptable? After all, I've already received 1 million. This additional 500,000 feels excessive. Sweetheart, you haven't trusted your first time to me. So this is rightfully yours. From now on, call me Yechen. He gently caressed her hair. Moved by his words, she planted a soft kiss on his cheek. Suddenly feeling a chill, she instinctively recoiled. Observing her bashful demeanor, Gu Yechen smiled inwardly, realizing the system had not deceived him. Indeed, it was her first time. He then exited the room. Zhang Yun watched Gu Yechen's retreating figure, knowing she had made the right choice. Even if Gu Yechen's feelings were not genuine, even if he wished to end things here, it was all worth it. She had secured 1,500,000. Enough to cover her father's surgical expenses and subsequent costs. The luxurious presidential suite was in disarray, and she found it hard to believe that the person from last night was indeed her. However, the pain she felt and the crimson stains on the white sheets confirmed the reality. She had surrendered herself, transitioning from a girl to a true woman, and she felt no regret. Her cheeks still burned as she pondered. Supporting herself against the wall, she slowly made her way to the bathroom. Looking into the mirror, she noticed her flushed complexion and felt a wave of shyness wash over her. She finally understood why so many revered this endeavor. She decided to cut a piece of the stained sheet to keep as a memento and then slept for another 2.5 hours before starting her day. Gu Yechen powered on his phone after leaving the hotel, only to receive a call from his elder sister, Jiang Qingyan. She had been working late at the company, returning home at 9:30, only to find Jiang Nan missing. After several attempts to reach him, which yielded no response, she grew increasingly anxious. Upon inquiry, she learned that Jiang Nan had severed ties with the Jiang family and had left. Jiang Qingyan's frustration mounted as she searched all the places Gu Yeqing frequented. But to no avail. She had not slept a wink all night, worrying about her brother, especially since he had not used the card she provided. She was unaware that her brother had transformed into a man the previous night and had turned off his phone for specific reasons. The phone continued to ring, and after deliberation, Gu Yeqing answered, "Sister, what's the matter? Where have you been? Why didn't you inform me? Your phone was off." Jiang Qingyan and Appo's voice was icy, laced with a hint of concern. Although Gu Yeqing had never met her in person, he knew she was exceedingly beautiful, even more so than Zhang Yun. Nevertheless, he had always held a fondness for her, so he joked, "I'm just on my way to school. I slept early last night, fearing I might be disturbed. So I turned my phone off." After a brief pause, he added, "Sister, have you eaten yet?" Gu Yeqing would never divulge the true reason for his phone being off. On the other end of the line, Jiang Qingyan's expression darkened. She had spent the entire night worrying, only to find her brother had simply gone to bed early, rendering her sleepless night unnecessary. "You truly are my dear brother. After such a significant event, you don't even think to inform me? Do you know how worried I was about you?" She expressed, a hint of dissatisfaction in her tone. Gu Yeqing felt a touch of embarrassment. He replied with a chuckle, "Sister, I was just concerned you were busy and wouldn't have time to chat." Jiang Qingyan paused, her mind racing back to memories of her brother Jiang Nan, who had never spoken to her in such a manner. He used to be cheerful, but after returning to the Jiang family, he had become withdrawn and melancholic. "What is wrong with you?" she asked, a tremor of fear in her voice. She worried that something had happened to him, causing her heart to race. Gu Yeqing was taken aback, recalling the original circumstances. He quickly reassured her, "Sister, I'm fine. I feel much lighter now that I've left." With a smile, he added, "Sister, I've even changed my name. From now on, I shall be known as Gu Yeqing." Jiang Qingyan was incredulous, never imagining he would go so far as to change his name, wishing to distance himself from the Jiang family. Realizing this, she chose not to press further. "If anything arises, you must inform me. If they do not acknowledge you, I will," she said softly. "And don't hesitate to reach out for funds. If you run low, just ask." Gu Yeqing felt a wave of gratitude wash over him. As an orphan, he had never experienced familial affection. Coming into this new life and finding such a sister was a blessing. "Rest assured, sister. Now that I'm away from the Jiang family, I will not hold back," he replied, and then promptly spent 6 yuan on a breakfast of soybean milk and fried dough sticks. "Sister, I just spent 6 yuan. Can I get reimbursed?" He sent a pitiful emoji, prompting Jiang Qingyan, the typically stoic CEO, to break into laughter and promptly transfer 500,000 to him. "Thank you for your generous gift." "Beautiful." Gu Yeqing responded with a bowing emoji, thanking his boss. "All right, off you go to school. The college entrance examinations are approaching. Make sure to put in your best effort." Jiang Qingyan playfully scolded him. As Gu Yeqing drove his Bugatti Chiron down the road, it stirred quite a commotion. Upon returning to the English manor, he gathered his study materials and took the bus to Xinghua High School, contemplating the necessity of purchasing a more economical vehicle for his daily commute. He arrived at Class 3 of senior year, a top-tier class renowned for its outstanding academic performance. However, exceptions always existed. While his grades were commendable, the original's timid nature had rendered him a target for bullying. He shared the class with Jiang Zihua, who had consistently isolated and harassed him. Despite Jiang Zihua's familial influence, the Jiang family had kept his background a secret, leading to further challenges in his school life. Yet, Gu Yeqing was not Jiang Nan. If Jiang Zihua attempted to employ the same tactics against him, he was more than willing to retaliate and leave him with a swollen face. Chapter 15. The Beauty Enhancement Recipe. Gu Yeqing returned to his seat, only to discover that his desk had been smeared with red paint, and his chair was coated in glue. The onlookers fixed their gazes upon him, eager to discern his reaction. In a school where surveillance cameras were ubiquitous, Gu Yeqing was well aware of the perpetrator's identity. However, he lacked tangible evidence, as the cameras had long been out of order. A surveillance video has been provided for the host. Mission issued: present the video and expose the culprit. If the school shows trepidation, escalate the situation. Reward for the mission: a recipe for a beauty enhancement elixir. No side effects whatsoever. Gu Yeqing ascended to the podium, his gaze sweeping over the crowd until it settled on Jiang Zihao. As a member of the Jiang family, Jiang Zihao wielded his influence with impunity at school, often toying with female classmates. No one dared to confront him or report his misdeeds, enduring instead in silence. Gu Yeqing, however, was not one to indulge him. He produced a remote control, activating the podium's electronic equipment, and addressed Jiang Zihao with a chilling tone. "I recall distinctly instructing you not to provoke me. I wonder if that resonates with you. Now, stand up, apologize, and then perform 10 frog jumps downstairs, all the while shouting, 'I, Jiang Zihao, am worthless.'" Gu Yeqing regarded Jiang Zihao with keen interest. knowing he would meticulously settle the score for past grievances. Gu Yechen, what nonsense are you spouting? Who do you think you are? What proof do you possess that implicates me? Jiang Zihao retorted stubbornly. Gu Yechen made a slight motion, transmitting the video to the equipment, projecting it onto the large blackboard. Observing Jiang Zihao's grim expression, he noted the discrepancy. He remembered the cameras were broken. How could there possibly be footage? With a bemused smile, Gu Yechen inquired, so, what will it be? Will you jump or not? It's not me. Why should I confess? Jiang Zihao's composure wavered as he glanced nervously at his lackeys, attempting to intimidate Gu Yechen with his standing in the class. Gu Yechen turned to the classmates who had risen in support, asking, do any of you wish to defend him? Silence ensued. Gu Yechen understood that Jiang Zihao would never admit guilt. He dialed the homeroom teacher's number, and shortly thereafter, a woman in her late 20s entered the classroom. With striking features and flawless, fair skin, she was the homeroom teacher, Ning Qianxue. Name, Ning Qianxue. Age, 27. Beauty rating, 95. Health status, excellent. Number of developments, 0. Gu Yechen was taken aback. He had not anticipated encountering a 27-year-old who had yet to be developed, and whose beauty surpassed even that of Zhang Yun by 3 points. Should we make a move on the teacher? He mused. Upon her arrival, the class fell silent. Ning Qianxue squinted at Gu Yechen and Appo's seat. After viewing the surveillance video, she turned her expressionless gaze towards Jiang Zihao. Did you do this? Jiang Zihao's face flushed crimson. He had not expected Gu Yechen to approach the homeroom teacher directly. Yet, what could she do? Even a homeroom teacher would have difficulty dealing with him. He was still contemplating an opportunity to intoxicate Ning Qianxue and take advantage of her, naturally refusing to admit guilt. Teacher Ning, I assure you, I had no part in this. You know our classroom surveillance has been broken for ages. Who can verify the authenticity of this video? Jiang Zihao claimed nonchalantly. Ning Qianxue furrowed her brow. Recalling that the classroom cameras had indeed malfunctioned the previous week and had yet to be repaired, she glanced at Gu Yechen. Aware of the dynamics between him and the Jiang family, yet perplexed as to why the family would treat one of their own with such disdain. Little did she know, Jiang Zihao was not actually a biological son. Jiang Nan, what is your stance? Since the surveillance is broken, this video cannot serve as evidence. Even if I am the homeroom teacher. She recognized Jiang Nan's commendable academic record and amiable demeanor, noting his patience even when faced with mistreatment, as well as his admirable respect for teachers. If the teacher cannot resolve this, I shall employ my own methods, Gu Yechen stated, observing Jiang Zihao's smug grin. Ning Qianxue felt helpless. She picked up her phone to contact the head of the disciplinary office, explaining the situation. Upon learning that it was Jiang Zihao's fault, the head dismissed the matter. She then called the principal, bringing both students to his office. Jiang Zihao glared at Ning Qianxue's retreating figure, seething with rage, silently vowing that she better not be left alone. Upon entering the principal's office, they found a man in his 50s seated at his desk, his meticulously styled hair indicating authority. He was Chun Yuan, the principal of Xinghua High School. Explain the situation, he commanded, fixing his gaze on Gu Yechen. Gu Yechen promptly laid out the entire account. The principal frowned, turning to Ning Qianxue, who nodded, then to Jiang Zihao. You again? How many troubles have you caused this month? Principal, this truly isn't my doing. Our classroom surveillance is broken. Who knows where he got this video? Jiang Zihao protested, his eyes reddening with emotion on the verge of tears. Jiang Nan, how do you propose we resolve this? The principal asked sternly. Principal, I have ceased to be a Jiang. I now go by Gu Yechen. Gu Yechen replied calmly, his tone steady. The principal appeared taken aback, then said, let me see your ID. Gu Yechen leisurely handed over his identification. After examining it closely, the principal nodded, a complex expression crossing his face. My solution is straightforward. Let him apologize, then perform 10 frog jumps around the flower bed. Shouting Jiang Zihao is worthless as he jumps. Otherwise, I shall not let this matter rest. Gu Yechen's voice, though not loud, resonated with undeniable determination. The principal regarded him with a hint of admiration. He understood the intricacies of the elite families and was surprised by the outcome of this situation. The principal hesitated, fully aware that such a request would humiliate the Jiang family. He found it challenging to comply. Moreover, given his understanding of Jiang Zihao, it was evident that he would never acquiesce to such a demand. The Jiang family held considerable influence in the area, and forcing Jiang Zihao into such a public display of humiliation would undoubtedly disgrace them. A sheen of sweat broke out on the principal's forehead as he grappled with his decision. He wished to support Gu Yechen but feared repercussions from the Jiang family. Caught between Gu Yechen's insistence on justice and the Jiang family's pride, he found himself in a predicament. Meanwhile, Jiang Zihao's expression darkened upon hearing Gu Yechen's ultimatum. Brimming with indignation and defiance as he clenched his teeth, contemplating how to navigate this precarious situation. The atmosphere thickened with tension as the standoff continued. Chapter 16. Exposure. The principal picked up his phone and called Jiang Feng to explain the situation. Jiang Zihao, you stay. Yechen, you head back to class first. I will call for you later, the principal stated calmly. Gu Yichen nodded, casting a glance at his homeroom teacher, Ning Qianxue, whose beauty was truly captivating. He turned and left the principal's office, the image of Ning Qianxue's lovely face and her cool demeanor lingering in his mind on the way back to the classroom. Upon returning, Gu Yichen sat at his desk, though his thoughts were somewhat unsettled. His classmates gathered around, inquiring about the situation, but he merely offered brief responses, choosing to remain reticent, as he had little rapport with this group. After a while, a message came from the principal's office, requesting Gu Yichen to return. Taking a deep breath, he stood up and walked back to the principal's office. Upon arrival, he found Zhang Zihao standing there with a gloomy expression, while the principal regarded him with a serious demeanor. Clearing his throat, the principal shook his head at Gu Yichen and said, Gu Yichen, Zhang Zihao's parents have said they will investigate this matter thoroughly, and we should refrain from taking any rash actions. For now, let Zhang Zihao return to class, and you two should focus on your studies. We will address this issue once we have further developments. Gu Yichen furrowed his brow, but nodded in agreement. Understanding that the principal had done his utmost. Zhang Zihao, you may leave. Gu Yichen, you stay, the principal instructed. Zhang Zihao exited with an air of satisfaction. Yichen, you have seen the resistance we face, the principal remarked, shaking his head. I cannot comprehend why there is such disparity among members of the Zhang family. Thank you, principal. I will handle this matter myself. Gu Yichen replied, rising to leave. Watching his departing figure, the principal sighed in resignation. Back in the classroom, Gu Yichen threw himself into his studies. However, his mind remained preoccupied with the incident. Meanwhile, Zhang Zihao sat at his desk, his expression still dark, lost in his thoughts. Concurrently, Ning Qianxue continued her lecture at the podium, frequently glancing at Gu Yichen, her heart tinged with concern. She was uncertain about what Gu Yichen meant by handling it himself. She hoped the matter would be resolved swiftly and properly, wishing not to see it affect Gu Yichen's studies, as she wanted him to remain among the top students in his grade. After class, Gu Yichen took out his phone and reported the incident to the police, aware that the nature of the campus incident warranted a different response. In the conference room, 2 police officers approached him, one male and one female. The male officer, in his 30s, saluted Gu Yichen and said, You are Gu Yichen, correct? Gu Yichen nodded. Please explain the situation, the female officer instructed, taking out her notebook. Gu Yichen recounted the events in a flurry of words, leaving the 2 officers exchanging glances, as the details did not meet the threshold of responsibility typically addressed by the school. Classmate Gu, what you have described does not reach the level of accountability. Do you have any evidence to support your claims? The male officer inquired once more. Perhaps you haven't noticed. Officer, none of my classmates witnessed the incident, which suggests it occurred when the classroom was empty. Such covert actions pose an unknown threat to the school. Let us hypothesize, if a criminal entered and placed a bomb under my desk unseen, wouldn't that potentially lead to severe casualties among my classmates? You must understand. Our classroom is locked every day. Where did the red paint come from? If it were indeed a criminal's doing, wouldn't it be even more perilous? Gu Yichen continued earnestly, his aim being to burden Zhang Zihao psychologically. The male officer, visibly concerned, replied, Gu Yichen, we will take your words into consideration. For now, please return to class. Gu Yichen nodded and left. The police informed the principal and homeroom teacher to gather further inquiries. The outcome revealed that Gu Yichen was a diligent student with excellent grades, yet he had been consistently isolated and bullied. Conversely, Zhang Zihao was portrayed as a school bully, with poor academic performance and a tendency to disrupt his peers' studies. Lu, what is your take on this matter? The female officer asked the male officer. He furrowed his brow, stating, In truth, there isn't anything particularly noteworthy. It is merely Zhang Zihao seeking trouble. However, Gu Yichen's concerns are not without merit. If someone were to secretly place a bomb, that would be a serious issue. The likelihood of such an event is exceedingly low, given the presence of security and patrolling personnel. He paused and added, Yet, I can't help but feel there is more beneath the surface. Otherwise, why is Zhang Zihao still allowed in school despite his infractions? At that moment, the principal re-entered the conference room. Principal, may I ask why Zhang Zihao, who has violated school regulations and is implicated in various serious incidents, has not been expelled? The female officer questioned, perplexed. You two may not be aware, but Zhang Zihao's family situation is quite complex, the principal explained. The officers exchanged glances, understanding the weight of the Zhang family's influence in Shanghai City. The implications of the Zhang family's standing rendered the situation anything but simple. Before long, Gu Yichen and Zhang Zihao were summoned back to the conference room, where several individuals, including the 2 officers, the principal, and Ning Qianxue, were seated. Gu Yichen, we have investigated this matter. It is clear that it does not involve Zhang Zihao, but rather another student, who has already been reprimanded. We consider this matter resolved. The male officer stated flatly, though his tone carried a sense of futility. Hearing this, Gu Yichen felt a surge of amusement. He looked at the 2 officers. sensing their dismissive attitude, clearly influenced by the Jiang family's power. The principal bore an expression of helplessness, seemingly unable to oppose such decisions. Gu Yuchen scoffed. How laughable. You think you can so easily sweep this matter under the rug? His gaze swept across everyone present, shaking his head in disappointment. Ning Qianxue watched Gu Yuchen, her eyes reflecting a mix of sympathy and helplessness. She understood that the truth was far more complicated than it appeared, yet at this moment, she could effect no change. Gu Yuchen chose not to say more. He turned and exited the conference room, determined to break his silence and reveal the truth to all. Thus, after school that day, Gu Yuchen meticulously documented the entire incident, supporting his account with relevant evidence, and posted it online. The post quickly garnered extensive attention and sparked widespread debate. Netizens condemned both the Jiang family and the school, demanding a thorough reinvestigation of the matter. The pressure from public opinion surged like a tidal wave, leaving both the school and the Jiang family in a precarious position. At this juncture, Ning Qianxue stepped forward, publicly revealing her identity and exposing Jiang Ziheo's various misdeeds online, further complicating Jiang Ziheo's situation. Upon learning of this, Jiang Ziheo seethed with resentment towards Gu Yichun and was infuriated with Ning Qianxue, plotting his revenge against her. He believed Gu Yichun was deliberately opposing him and tarnishing his reputation. However, Gu Yichun remained indifferent to Jiang Ziheo's thoughts. He was determined not to allow Jiang Ziheo and his family to escape unscathed. Unbeknownst to him, his actions had left his elder sister utterly exhausted, collapsing into sleep. Chapter 17. Promotion. After class, Gu Yeqing traveled to the Shui Xian International Hotel, as he had yet to fulfill a promise made to Zhang Yun. Upon his arrival, Gu Yeqing entered the hotel where several staff members recognized him. One female attendant promptly approached him, inquiring, "Mr. Gu, are you here for a meal?" Gu Yeqing nodded and asked, "Is the same table available as yesterday?" He spoke with a calm demeanor, donning a vibrant white and orange sports outfit. The attendant responded promptly, "Yes, Mr. Gu. Our lobby manager, Zhang Yun, has already informed us, so we have reserved the private room and suite you requested." She guided him to the front desk to check in, where the receptionist looked on, clearly impressed by his presence. "Thank you," Gu Yeqing said with a smile as he turned and entered the elevator. He called Zhang Yun and then proceeded to the luxurious private room to await her arrival. A few moments later, Zhang Yun pushed open the grand door of the suite, finding Gu Yeqing seated at the dining table, yet to place his order. With a smile, she approached him and asked, "Why haven't you ordered yet?" "I'm waiting for you," he replied, standing to pull out a chair for her. He gently kissed her forehead, and she closed her eyes, savoring the fleeting moment. Since their relationship had deepened the day before, thoughts of Gu Yeqing lingered in her mind. She understood that he would likely have other women in his life, yet she felt content. "I have already ordered," Zhang Yun smiled, "just before I arrived." Gu Yeqing affectionately ruffled her hair, saying, "I have an hour and a half. Please join me for a moment of rest." She nodded and placed a soft kiss on his cheek. Gu Yeqing opted not to pursue anything further, given Zhang Yun's recent experience. After their meal, Gu Yeqing took out his phone and made a call. Within seconds, the other end picked up. "Hello, boss, what instructions do you have?" Gu Yeqing succinctly replied, "Starting tomorrow, you need not come to work." The person on the other end paused, clearly bewildered, and responded, "Boss, why is that? The hotel has been running smoothly under my management. Have I done something wrong? You are well aware of the benefits you've accrued at the hotel. From tomorrow, you are no longer needed here. Furthermore, the hotel will investigate your embezzlement over the years." Gu Yeqing's voice was cold and resolute. The individual on the line panicked, pleading for leniency, but Gu Yeqing remained unmoved. He observed the woman before him, gently stroking her hair, and said, "Starting tomorrow, you will officially assume the role of general manager. I will announce it tonight. As for the lobby manager, select someone capable based on your experience. If they are merely coasting, let them go." Gu Yeqing maintained a calm demeanor, yet his words were authoritative and commanding, exuding the air of a leader. "You must ensure meticulousness in tax and finance matters. Every cent owed must be accounted for." "Yeqing, there is something I am uncertain whether to disclose." Zhang Yun hesitated, aware of an issue she had long recognized. "Speak freely," Gu Yeqing urged, his gaze gentle and inviting, causing Zhang Yun to feel increasingly drawn to him. She understood that she could no longer harbor feelings for anyone else. Although the hotel appears unremarkable, there are individuals with dubious financial dealings, many derived from deductions made by the hotel, Zhang Yun stated calmly. Gu Yeqing had already comprehended this situation. Recognizing that such characters existed in the business world, he understood that one must often turn a blind eye to certain matters for the sake of progress. As long as the infractions were minor and did not cross the line, they could be overlooked. It is often said that a clear pond harbors no fish. If one lives too meticulously, life becomes burdensome, he remarked thoughtfully. Gu Yeqing gazed earnestly at Zhang Yun and said, "As long as they do not act excessively, it is tolerable. However, financial discrepancies must not be tolerated. If they cross the line, we must address it decisively. I do not have the time to manage this myself. You are now my partner. If you find their actions unacceptable, handle it as you see fit. Otherwise, it will take me a while, and I tend to be rather lazy. You may assert your authority when necessary. I believe in you. Zhang Yun looked at Gu Yeqing, her eyes filled with warmth and gratitude. She had not anticipated that this 18-year-old youth possessed such formidable strength, keen insight, decisive judgment, and an open heart. Once Gu Yeqing concluded his directives, Zhang Yun began to contemplate her future responsibilities. She understood the weight of her duties and vowed to manage the hotel efficiently, ensuring its success. Meanwhile, Gu Yeqing was strategizing on a broader scale, aware that the hotel was merely a facet of his larger business ambitions, with grander goals yet to be realized. Afterward, Gu Yeqing took Zhang Yun's delicate hand, saying, "Shall we rest?" His eyes radiated tenderness, causing her cheeks to flush. She nodded, and together they departed. Upon returning to the room, the two shared an honest moment, yet Gu Yeqing refrained from pursuing anything further. They lay together, resting and eventually drifting into sleep. However, Zhang Yun's restlessness ignited a spark, leading to an intimate encounter. At 2 o'clock in the afternoon, Gu Yeqing washed up and donned his attire, preparing to leave for class at 2:30, while others adhered to the schedule. Those with commendable grades often enjoyed a few extra minutes of rest before attending class. Gu Yeqing gazed at the smiling woman before him, and Zhang Yun, feeling bashful under his gaze, simply acknowledged her feelings, knowing that this man was her everything, and they had laid bare their hearts to one another. Prepare to file a lawsuit against the previous manager. Not only must he repay the embezzled funds, but he should also serve time, Gu Yeqing stated calmly. Zhang Yun understood and promptly took action. The manager was subsequently sentenced to 5 years in prison and ordered to repay all embezzled funds. Chapter 18. A resounding slap as Gu Yeqing departed. He planted a gentle kiss near her lips, a moment that Zhang Yun cherished deeply. "I'm leaving now. Take care of yourself," Gu Yeqing softly murmured. Zhang Yun nodded, responding, "Be safe." Gu Yeqing acknowledged her with a nod of his own, striding confidently. His tall figure of 185 centimeters appeared especially elongated under the lights. Zhang Yun gazed at his retreating silhouette, her heart brimming with warmth. For Gu Yeqing's tenderness towards her was undeniable. Reflecting on Gu Yeqing's earlier remark about her purity, Zhang Yun felt fortunate to have never been in a relationship. To have reserved her first kiss and first intimate encounter solely for him. Had she chosen otherwise, she might never have crossed paths with him. She understood that by aligning herself with such a formidable man, her future was bound to be rife with limitless possibilities. In the days that followed, Zhang Yun diligently implemented Gu Yeqing's directives in her work. She commenced a comprehensive audit of the hotel's finances, rectifying previously overlooked tax discrepancies, unearthing fraudulent activities, and administering stern repercussions to the culprits. Additionally, she appointed a capable lobby manager and streamlined the workforce, weeding out those who merely bided their time. Gradually, the atmosphere within the hotel transformed into one of positivity, igniting the employees' enthusiasm for their tasks. When addressing individuals connected to illicit financial dealings, Zhang Yun adopted a strategy of intimidation. Through subtle hints and stern warnings, she conveyed that Gu Yeqing was aware of their misdeeds and would not tolerate their continuation. Under the pressure, these individuals retracted their actions, hesitant to overreach, and returned their ill-gotten gains. As time elapsed, the hotel's business conditions improved steadily, with performance metrics rising. Upon returning to school, Gu Yeqing was immediately summoned to the office. "Gu Yeqing, how could you expose this matter online?" The principal lamented. "Our school is in a vulnerable position, and you know that both I and your homeroom teacher have always supported you. However, we cannot stand against the Jiang family's influence. And this incident has significantly impacted the school's reputation." The principal's weariness was evident, reflecting the weight of the situation. He continued, "Teacher Ning, you two are at fault. Yeqing mentioned it, and you still chose to speak up? The Jiang family wields considerable power, and your actions could lead to unnecessary trouble." The principal sighed, exasperated by the predicament involving Gu Yeqing and Ning Qianxue. Gu Yeqing frowned. "Principal, this matter has nothing to do with Teacher Ning. It was solely my decision to post it," he clarified. The principal shook his head. "Did you not follow up on the repercussions after your post?" Gu Yeqing nodded, admitting he had not, as he had gone to dinner with Zhang Yun and subsequently rested, neglecting his phone. He glanced at his device and was taken aback to discover Ning Qianxue had openly supported him, a revelation that momentarily surprised him. "See that?" the principal remarked, shaking his head. Gu Yeqing scratched his nose. "Principal, having colleagues like Teacher Ning and students like me is indeed a blessing for you." The principal's frustration peaked, nearly prompting him to kick Gu Yeqing. "Encountering both of you has surely aged me by a decade," he barked. "But principal, you're only in your 50s. Losing a decade isn't so grave." Gu Yeqing chuckled. "Enough banter. This afternoon, members of the Jiang family will arrive. How do you plan to address them?" the principal inquired, concern etched on his face. Gu Yeqing contemplated for a moment. "I have no ties to them anymore. I have only one sister. and the rest are not my kin. Ning Qinxue regarded Gu Yechen with a hint of sympathy, recognizing the burdens he bore at merely 18, a reality that prompted her to pay him closer attention. The principal nodded. That's good. They will undoubtedly seek to make things difficult for you, so be prepared. Within the school, they can do little, but outside, it will depend on you. Gu Yechen remained unfazed, confident that he had severed all connections to the Jiang family. Mr. and Mrs. Jiang, accompanied by Jiang Zihao, stormed into the conference room. Upon seeing Gu Yechen, Mr. Jiang erupted with fury. You ungrateful wretch. Who gave you the right to slander Xiaohao? And how dare you make this public? I'll make you regret it. The Jiang family had been shaken by the online backlash, intensifying Mr. Jiang's wrath. Gu Yechen regarded them coolly. Mr. Jiang, our acquaintance is minimal. Perhaps you should reconsider your tendency to resort to violence. Otherwise, I cannot guarantee your safety. Mr. Jiang faltered, recalling the menacing glint in Gu Yechen's eyes when he had brandished a knife on the coffee table, a reminder that left him uncertain. Both the principal and Ning Qinxue were taken aback by Gu Yechen's response, realizing the severity of the discord between the two parties. Clearing his throat, the principal interjected, Mr. Jiang, the purpose of your summons today is to resolve this issue. We are well aware of Jiang Zihao's conduct at school, and for the sake of your reputation, we have remained silent until now. However, this time, the matter has escalated online and has been reported to the authorities, which changes everything. Reported. Mrs. Jiang gasped, glaring at Gu Yechen with venomous hatred. I never imagined you could be so malicious. It was not Xiaohao's doing. Yet you slander him and have the audacity to escalate this to the police? You heartless wretch. Her vitriol was unrestrained, drawing ire even from the principal and Ning Qinxue. Jiang Zihao stood there, reverting to his previously meek demeanor, resembling a victim rather than an aggressor, leading outsiders to mistakenly believe Gu Yechen was the bully. Gu Yechen suppressed his rising anger, his gaze towards Mrs. Jiang icy, realizing that her relentless insults left him no choice but to act. Just as Ning Qinxue was about to interject, Gu Yechen abruptly appeared before Mrs. Jiang and, with a swift motion, struck her across the face, sending her teeth flying. Chapter 19. Dismissal of Jiang Zihao. Wang Li gazed incredulously at Gu Yechen before her, taken aback by the fact that he had truly resorted to violence. She had been incessantly berating him, never imagining he would retaliate. Had she known, she would have certainly refrained from such provocations. 2 of her teeth had already been knocked out. You dare to strike me? Huang Li's eyes were filled with animosity as she looked at Gu Yechen. Jiang Zihao was equally astonished. He had not anticipated that Gu Yechen would directly strike his mother. Neither the principal nor Ning Qinxue had foreseen this turn of events. Jiang Fu helped Jiang Mu to her feet, glaring at Gu Yechen. You hit her? Are you attempting to rebel? With a thunderous bang, Jiang Fu slammed his hand down on the table, his anger no longer concealed. I warned you. Do not challenge my boundaries again. Today, it was merely a slap. Should Mrs. Huang not heed caution, the next time could very well send you straight to the depths of the abyss. Gu Yechen offered a benign smile and replied coolly, You are insane. She is your mother. How dare you act in such a manner? Jiang Fu exclaimed, furious. In my recollection, I do not possess parents. I have only an elder sister. Do not attempt to claim kinship with me, especially not with relatives such as yourselves. Gu Yechen retorted disdainfully. Jiang Fu's chest heaved with rage as he lunged towards Gu Yechen, aiming to slap him across the face. In a critical moment, Gu Yechen raised his hand in defense, countering with a resounding slap that sent Jiang Fu sprawling to the ground, 3 of his teeth flying out. Now it was Jiang Zihao's turn to be dumbfounded. He had not expected Gu Yechen to dare strike his father, and fear began to creep in, for Gu Yechen was terrifying in this moment. Gu Yechen's expression turned icy as he looked at Jiang Feng. Mr. Jiang, have you forgotten? We are no longer connected. Do you truly believe you can strike and scold me as you once did? Do you think I lack a temper? Jiang Feng stood, astonished at the transformation before him. Gu Yechen was no longer the Jiang Nan he once knew. You dare to strike your own parents? Are you even human? It appears, Mr. Jiang, that your intellect is lacking. We have long severed ties. My biological parents have long since passed. How dare you claim to be my true parents? Have you ever acknowledged me as part of the Jiang family? Have you ever publicly recognized my existence? You have not. You have only struck and insulted me, accusing me of theft and branding me a beast. And now you assert you are my biological parents? Do you think me a fool? Gu Yechen scoffed, declaring, Your son is dead. I am now Gu Yechen, not Jiang. Jiang Feng's face flushed crimson. He turned to the principal. Principal Chun, is this how you educate your students? A student assaults the parent of a classmate, and how do you propose to resolve this? The principal, having been merely an observer until now, found himself caught off guard. Mr. Jiang, we are merely witnesses to this incident. It was you and your wife who attempted to assault our student. Our student retaliating is well within reasonable bounds. Gu Yechen could not help but admire the principal's response. So, you were saying he was justified in hitting someone? Jiang Feng sputtered in frustration, pointing an accusatory finger at Principal Chen. If you do not expel him, we, the Jiang Group, will withdraw all funding from Xinghua High School. Choose wisely. Jiang Zihao's face lit up with delight, though he concealed it well. The principal's expression darkened. Since Jiang Zihao's enrollment at Tsinghua in junior high, the Jiang Group had provided substantial annual funding, which had allowed Jiang Zihao to act with impunity within the school. Sir, this matter is clearly your issue. Are you threatening the principal? Ning Qianxue shot a disdainful glance at Jiang Zihao. Jiang Zihao, upon witnessing her contempt, recalled her remarks online and felt an overwhelming urge to silence her. How do you instruct students? Showing such blatant favoritism? This is clearly Gu Yechen's fault. What do you mean we are threatening the school? Jiang Mu glared at Ning Qianxue, her anger boiling over. Wait, are you the teacher who spoke out online? Jiang Mu asked, momentarily taken aback. Yes, I am. Jiang Zihao has bullied his classmates for years, showing utter disregard for discipline, even disrespecting teachers. A student like him has no place at Tsinghua High. Ning Qianxue stood her ground, confronting Jiang Zihao's misdeeds. How can someone like you teach students? Jiang Mu demanded haughtily. Principal, let us add a condition. Expel Gu Yechen and this individual. Jiang Mu insisted. Ms. Ning, how can you treat me like this? Jiang Zihao's eyes brimmed with tears, feeling deeply wronged. I did nothing. How can you defame me online? He cried, tears streaming down his face. Upon seeing Jiang Zihao's tears, Jiang Mu's demeanor shifted instantly. Principal Chen, you must expel this woman and mark her record with severe consequences. I want her to be unable to live in Shanghai City. Mr. Jiang, Mrs. Huang, from this moment on, Tsinghua High School will no longer require your funding. Jiang Zihao, I hereby declare your student status revoked, and all your misdeeds will be recorded in your file. Principal Chen stated coldly, staring at Jiang Mu. Jiang Mu's eyes widened in disbelief. Principal Chen, what do you mean? Think carefully. Without our funding, many of your school's projects will be jeopardized. However, Principal Chen remained unfazed, resolutely stating, Tsinghua High School operates on principles and boundaries. We will not allow such occurrences. Education is a sacred endeavor, untouchable by money and power. Jiang Zihao's actions have severely violated school regulations. We have afforded him many opportunities, yet he squandered them all. We cannot retain such a student. Jiang Zihao stood in shock, unable to comprehend how events had escalated to this point. He had merely sought to leverage his mother's influence to achieve his goals, only to find himself ensnared instead. He glared at Gu Yechen, filled with hatred, knowing he could do nothing but wait for an opportunity. Ning Qianxue observed the scene, feeling a mix of emotions, yet resolute. She understood that her choices were just, and despite facing challenges and pressures, she harbored no regrets. Jiang Mu attempted to continue her argument, but Principal Chen cut her off. Mr. Jiang, Mrs. Huang, please leave the school at once. Do not disrupt our educational environment. With that, Principal Chen turned and walked away. Left with no recourse, Jiang Mu shot a furious glare at Ning Qianxue before dragging Jiang Zihao away. Jiang Zihao sobbed as they departed, feigning innocence. Once they were gone, the faculty and students of the school applauded Principal Chen's decision, recognizing that he had upheld the school's dignity and justice, setting a commendable example for others. Ning Qianxue, too, earned the respect and support of her peers. Knowing there were like-minded individuals within the school, all striving together for the noble cause of education, even if the path had initially seemed daunting. What now, Mom? My brother is truly pushing me to the brink. What should I do? I haven't done anything wrong. Jiang Zihao stifled his tears. Had Gu Yechen been present, he surely would have remarked, why not pursue a career in acting? Do not fret. Shanghai City is not limited to just this one school, Jiang Mu consoled him. Chapter 20. Tong went in after school. Due to Gu Yechen's unique circumstances, he typically did not attend evening classes, and since he did not reside on campus, he had ample free time. Gu Yechen took a taxi to a Ferrari dealership, donning a sports outfit worth only a few hundred yuan. A female sales representative approached him, her smile warm and inviting. Good afternoon, sir. It's a pleasure to assist you. May I inquire if you have an appointment? Gu Yechen glanced at her, noting her details: name, Tang Ping, age, 32, appearance, 85, health, gynecological issues, number of clients served. 4. Gu Yechen was taken aback, stepping back slightly. He had no desire to engage with someone who had health concerns, especially one who had already served 4 clients. If it were someone with exceptional looks who had only been with 1 client, he might have considered it. However, anyone with more than 2 clients warranted careful consideration. After all, one must possess the audacity akin to that of Prime Minister Chao to proceed. The saleswoman, sensing his hesitation, felt a twinge of displeasure but remained silent. Excuse me, I would like to request a different sales representative, as I have made an appointment, Gu Yechen said awkwardly. The saleswoman, caught off guard, responded. Is there something I have done to offend you? If so, I can certainly apologize. Gu Yechen shook his head. You are quite pleasant, but I already have an appointment. Is that all right? Despite her reluctance, the saleswoman had no choice but to step away. Gu Yechen surveyed the Ferrari showroom, but he did not find the model he desired. Just then, another woman approached him. Good afternoon, sir. How may I assist you? Gu Yechen shifted his gaze to her, noting, name, Tong woman, age, 25. Appearance, 89. Health, excellent. Number of clients served, 0. Gu Yechen's interest peaked. Had someone finally arrived? Who are you? Good day, sir. My name is Tong Wenwen, and I am a sales representative here at Ferrari. May I ask your surname? She replied, her smile radiant, and a subtle fragrance enveloping her. Please, just call me Gu, he said nonchalantly. Hello, Mr. Gu. Do you have a specific vehicle in mind? If so, we can head over to view it directly. If not, I would be happy to introduce you to other models. Her sweet smile stirred an impulsive desire within Gu Yechen. He inquired, do you have an SF90 or an 812 GTS? Tong Wenwen froze momentarily before exclaiming, yes, yes, yes. Right this way, please. We happen to have them in stock. Tong Wenwen displayed no disdain for Gu Yechen's casual attire, while he remained intrigued by her lack of prior engagements. At merely 25, it was uncommon for a proficient sales representative to be so young. Typically, one would need to be nearing 30 to possess the requisite experience in the competitive sales industry. Furthermore, the recruitment process for such positions was stringent, with clear sales targets required for candidacy. For luxury brands like Ferrari, only those who achieve staggering annual sales figures could even hope to apply. It is worth noting that the base salary for luxury car sales representatives is considerably high, generally ranging from 8,000 to 16,000 yuan or more. Such lucrative compensation reflects the high demands and challenges of the role. A keen eye for detail, an appealing appearance, and good health are paramount, unlike the previous saleswoman with her reported health issues. The rarity of experienced luxury car sales personnel cannot be overstated. Typically, unless one exhibits extraordinary sales talent immediately upon entering the workforce, significant time and effort are required to ascend to a prominent position within this field. Throughout this journey, they accumulate experience and refine their skills, striving to become leading figures in the industry. As Gu Yechen followed Tong Wenwen into the showroom, it was already 5:30 in the afternoon, and the space appeared relatively vacant, with only a few sales representatives present. As they walked towards the desired section, they encountered a couple seemingly inspecting a vehicle, a man and woman. However, something seemed amiss with the couple. The man exuded an air of awkwardness. He was balding, with a round belly and a head resembling a polished sphere, standing approximately 5'2", which only amplified his ungracefulness. The juxtaposition was stark, as the woman beside him was strikingly beautiful, her elegance and curvaceous figure speaking volumes about her allure. Gu Yechen would rate her at least a 93. Curiosity piqued. Gu Yechen desired to glean more information about her, but his ability to do so required a direct gaze, and the distance was too great. Surrounding them were two female sales representatives engaged in conversation about a red Ferrari. Schwanger, what do you think of this one? If you like it, we could purchase it and go out afterwards. The stout man leaned closer to the woman. Mr. Gu, shall we continue looking at cars? Tong Wenwen asked, feeling a bit awkward, as Gu Yechen had been observing for 5 minutes without moving. Who is that woman? Gu Yechen inquired, glancing at Tong Wenwen. Oh, her? That's Qin Shuang. Upon realizing her slip, Tong Wenwen quickly covered her mouth, understanding the gravity of her words. If she were an ordinary customer, it may not have mattered. But this was a celebrity. Should her fans cause trouble, it would spell disaster for her. Tong Wenwen looked at Gu Yechen with pleading eyes. Rest assured, I will not disclose this, he assured her, gently patting her head. Chapter 21. The beautiful actress. A single gesture from Gu Yechen caused Tong Wenwen's CPU to overheat. She stood frozen, speechless and motionless, merely gazing blankly. Are you all right? Gu Yechen found her behavior rather peculiar. And no, I'm fine. Tong Wenwen's cheeks flushed, and as she regained her composure, she felt slightly dazed. Having never been treated so intimately by a man, she found herself at a loss. I thought something was wrong with you. It's good to hear you're fine. Let's take a look first. We can check the car later. There's no rush. Gu Yechen's lips curled into a playful smile. Upon hearing the words of the overweight man, Qin Shuanger felt a wave of distaste, though she concealed it well. Despite her emerging prominence, she was still unable to challenge a director like Li Zhang. Li Director, you should be the one making the decision about the car purchase. It is not for me to suggest. If you find it suitable, then buy it. You need not seek my opinion. Besides, I'm not well versed in cars. And should anything go awry, it would reflect poorly on me. Such talk. What is yours is mine, and what is mine is yours. Perhaps one day, you shall belong to me as well. Li Zhang's lecherous grin lingered as his gaze roamed over Qin Shuanger's ample curves, his eyes betraying his unbridled desires. Directorly, please conduct yourself with dignity, Qin Shuanger retorted, her annoyance surging to an all-time high. The two salespeople nearby sensed the tension and discreetly distanced themselves, observing the unfolding drama. Suddenly, Li Zhang's expression darkened, fixating on Qin Shuanger. I know why you are here. If you agree to one simple request, the leading role will be yours immediately. Otherwise, do not even think about it. The greasy man dropped all pretense. Qin Shuanger, upon hearing his words, felt at a loss, as she could easily guess the nature of his proposition. What is it that directorly desires? If it is within my capabilities, I may consider it. Li Zhang's gaze lingered over her figure, settling on her bosom, his expression oozing with crassness. It's simple. Spend one night with me, and I'll ensure you have suitable roles in the future, he whispered, suggesting that she was still a novice. What do you think? Care to give it a try? He winked at her, nearly causing her to regurgitate her meal. Let us move on, Gu Yeqing said to Tong Wanwen, who nodded and followed him towards the vehicles. Their arrival caught everyone off guard. The crowd glanced at Tong Wanwen and then at Gu Yeqing, with several salespeople fixating on him. Even Qin Shuang'er couldn't help but steal glances. Gu Yeqing noticed the exchange of looks with Qin Shuang'er, and they shared a brief nod of acknowledgement. Name: Qin Shuang'er. Age: 26. Attractiveness: 93. Health: recent insomnia development count: 0. Gu Yeqing was taken aback. Could it be that he encountered two undeveloped individuals while merely purchasing a car? Was this world so conservative compared to the previous one? Or some were developed in their teenage years? He had met several here who were still untouched. Perhaps the system awaited his intervention? The two salespeople accompanying the rotund man cast disdainful glances at Gu Yeqing. Though he was strikingly handsome, they knew that looks alone did not equate to wealth. Their keen eyes discerned his financial status the moment they laid eyes on him. The corpulent man noticed the shift in attention from the women around him, which irked him. He had initially sought to impress, but found himself overshadowed. He turned to scrutinize Gu Yeqing. What are you looking at? Gu Yeqing frowned, ignoring him as he passed by. The man, feeling slighted by Gu Yeqing's disregard, exclaimed, Hey, young man, I'm talking to you. It's quite rude to ignore someone. He surveyed Gu Yeqing, deeming him nothing more than a pretty face devoid of substance, adorned in cheap attire, and sporting a shabby watch. Gu Yeqing halted and turned to face him. Do I know you? And as for manners, I have keen hearing. I just overheard your rather inappropriate comments directed at a lady. The man's face darkened instantly. Do you know who I am? How dare you speak to me in such a manner? I couldn't care less who you are. To me, you are insignificant, Gu Yeqing retorted, raising a middle finger before continuing on his way with Tong Wanwen to inspect the cars. Hey Li, where are you? Get a few people to teach someone a lesson. The man said into his phone, calling for reinforcements to confront Gu Yeqing. Noticing this, Qin Shuang'er pretended to head to the restroom, swiftly alerting Gu Yeqing. She understood that the man would follow through on his threats. Hello, Qin Shuang'er announced as she approached Gu Yeqing from behind. He turned to see her exquisite features and stunning figure, unable to help but admire her. Is there something you need? Gu Yeqing had not expected her to approach him. Tong Wanwen discreetly stepped back, choosing not to intrude. I wanted to inform you that the person you just offended is Li Zhang, a prominent figure in the directing world. He is seeking individuals to retaliate against you, so be cautious. After delivering her warning, she adjusted her glasses, preparing to leave. Gu Yeqing seized the opportunity. Miss Qin, would you care to exchange contact information? Qin Shuang'er hesitated, turning back to him. You wish to add me on WeChat? Are you aware of my identity? Of course. I know, you are Qin Shuang'er. I just overheard your name a moment ago. He feigned ignorance. And do you know my status? She inquired. Gu Yeqing shook his head. Not really, but with your figure and being a novice, I can imagine anyone would want to be with you, especially that greasy man. I even did a bit of research. You're quite the actress, aren't you? No wonder that man made such bold remarks. He stated, shaking his phone. Qin Shuang'er chuckled awkwardly. Well, he is a director. He has a leading role that suits me perfectly, which I intended to vie for. But it seems I must let it go. Pausing, she added, you have quite the audacity, for someone as handsome as you. To openly suggest wanting to sleep with me in front of my fans is rather bold. Qin Shuang'er smiled, genuinely impressed by Gu Yeqing's audacity, which left her feeling a bit flustered. Gu Yeqing shrugged nonchalantly. Don't be misled by my appearance. I have a particular fondness for beautiful women, especially those who are still innocent. Tong Wanwen stood nearby, eavesdropping on their conversation, realizing the two were speaking quite openly. Qin Shuang'er added Gu Yeqing's contact information. Little brother, if you wish to sleep with me, you must prove your worth. She then swayed her hips as she departed. Gu Yeqing shook his head in disbelief at her boldness, momentarily feeling as though he might be outshone. Chapter 22. In this lifetime, I desire a harem of 3,000 beauties. Tong Wanwen emerged from the other side. Her cheeks flushed, resembling someone who had just stepped out of a refreshing bath. Are you all right? Gu Yeqing inquired, a hint of curiosity in his voice, before realizing it. Did you hear everything? Tong Wanwen nodded, her voice barely above a whisper. Yes. Gu Yeqing's expression turned serious. This cannot be disclosed. Seeing the sudden shift in Gu Yeqing's demeanor, Tong Wanwen felt a wave of anxiety wash over her and quickly affirmed, I understand. Gu Yeqing then broke into a satisfied smile. Now, where's my car? Tong Wanwen promptly led him to a Ferrari SF90, and just as she was about to introduce it, Gu Yeqing interjected, Good, very nice. This one will do. To Gu Yeqing, this was merely a means of transportation. He owned a hypercar worth 80 million. And this one was hardly even worth 10 million, an easy purchase. Tong Wanwen stood there, momentarily dumbfounded. She had sold the car without even trying. Mr. Gu, are you certain you wish to buy it? She asked, incredulous. Gu Yeqing smiled slightly, nodding, his gaze revealing a hint of amusement. Of course, why not? Although it pales in comparison to my limited edition supercar, the SF90's aerodynamic design and performance are quite commendable for daily use. Tong Wenwen was taken aback. Using the SF90 for daily commutes? Surely, you don't intend to put thousands of kilometers on it? She quickly regained her composure and donned a professional smile. Since you like it so much, let us proceed with the purchase formalities. I will provide you with the utmost service. Gu Yechen nodded, gently ruffling her hair. And Tong Wenwen did not object, for this was a multi-million-dollar vehicle. She guided Gu Yechen into the VIP room of the showroom to commence the purchasing process. However, Gu Yechen seemed in no hurry to finalize the transaction. He surveyed his surroundings and soon spotted a particularly unique model. Miss Tong, do you have any more extraordinary vehicles here? Gu Yechen asked suddenly. Tong Wenwen was momentarily taken aback. She had not anticipated that this seemingly casual customer would have higher expectations. After a brief moment of contemplation, she replied, Mr. Gu, we do have some custom models, tailored to meet the unique demands of our clients. They are truly one of a kind. Intrigued, Gu Yechen beckoned her to continue. Tong Wenwen began to describe several specially customized models, each with its own story and design philosophy. Here is a globally limited edition model called the Ferrari Phantom. Its design is inspired by deep-sea creatures, featuring a unique liquid metal paint that displays a spectrum of colors under varying light conditions, she elaborated. Gu Yechen nodded along, though he did not fully grasp the details. Yet he recognized the value in exclusivity. Rising to his feet, he declared, I wish to see the actual vehicle. Is that possible? Tong Wenwen promptly responded, of course. Right this way, please. They exited the VIP room and arrived at the most lavishly decorated section of the showroom, where a strikingly unique, purple-red, radiant sports car awaited. Gu Yechen circled the vehicle, meticulously inspecting every detail. This car is indeed exceptional. I appreciate its innovation and uniqueness. Though he was not an automotive expert, he could make a basic judgment on the car's aesthetics. Tong Wenwen felt a surge of joy, knowing she had successfully captured the attention of this lucrative client. With a smile, she said, Mr. Gu, should you decide to purchase this vehicle, we can arrange a test drive for you to experience its performance more thoroughly. Gu Yechen nodded in agreement, recognizing this as a standard procedure. As they discussed the specifics of the test drive, Tong Wenwen silently expressed her gratitude for this unexpected opportunity. She was aware that this was not merely a significant sale, but also a chance to showcase her professional capabilities. Meanwhile, Gu Yechen contemplated how to win Tong Wenwen's favor. Both harbored their own thoughts. Under Tong Wenwen's guidance, Gu Yechen approached the globally limited edition sports car. His eyes sparkled with a yearning for speed and passion, alongside an appreciation for its unique design. What is the interior like? He inquired, knowing that for a true supercar, the quality and comfort of the interior were equally vital. Tong Wenwen opened the door, inviting him to experience it firsthand. Mr. Gu, please take a look. This model features the finest leather and carbon fiber materials, with every detail meticulously designed to ensure that the driver enjoys an unparalleled experience of comfort while relishing speed. Gu Yechen settled into the driver's seat, appreciating the snugness of the upholstery and the feel of the steering wheel. He gently touched each button on the central console, praising the vehicle's high-tech features, while noting the absence of any unpleasant odors, indicating excellent craftsmanship. Excellent. This car certainly meets my expectations. Now, regarding the pricing. Tong Wenwen smiled softly. Mr. Gu, this model is globally limited, with only 7 in existence, and thus, the price is quite steep. However, I believe its value and uniqueness are priceless. We can offer you a very favorable price, along with a range of value-added services, such as personalized customizations and lifetime free maintenance. Gu Yechen chuckled inwardly. Indeed. Having one of only 10 globally was impressive, better than the one at home. He nodded and inquired playfully, does your mention of personalized services include you? Tong Wenwen stared at him in disbelief. Mr. Gu, what do you mean? I simply have a penchant for beautiful women and wondered if you might be interested in discussing it further. Of course, you wouldn't be at a loss if you decline. It's perfectly fine. Gu Yechen, having toiled diligently in his past life, only to be betrayed, now sought a different path. He wished to embrace a life akin to that of a libertine, filled with beautiful encounters and the enjoyment of life. Tong Wenwen felt a rush of nervousness, her heart racing. She had never imagined that Gu Yechen would take an interest in her, leaving her uncertain of how to respond. Yet, she knew that agreeing could lead to a significantly better life. Observing her anxious demeanor, Gu Yechen chuckled. All right, no need to be tense. Let's discuss the details of the car purchase first. He pulled out his phone and dialed Zhang Yun. Chapter 23. Purchasing a car at this moment. Zhang Yun was still in her office, reviewing the hotel situation. Upon seeing that Gu Yechen was calling her, a radiant smile appeared on her face. Yechen, have you arrived at the hotel? No. Gu Yechen chuckled and replied, are you busy? I need to discuss something with you. Zhang Yun glanced at her work, contemplated Gu Yechen for a moment, and promptly chose the latter. Not busy, what's up? Gu Yechen sent her an address, saying, I'm at a car dealership looking at cars. Come to the Ferrari store at the address provided. Don't drive, take a taxi. I'll be waiting for you. Zhang Yun glanced at the address, momentarily stunned. But without further thought, grabbed her bag and headed out. Gu Yechen turned to Tong Wenwen and said, "Please bring me the contract." Internally delighted, Tong Wenwen understood that the success of this transaction would significantly enhance her performance. She quickly retrieved the purchase contract and began discussing the terms with Gu Yechen. In the next few minutes, their manager arrived, and the three of them meticulously discussed every detail of the purchase, including payment methods, delivery times, and after-sales service. Ultimately, Gu Yechen signed his name on the contract, finalizing the transaction. The Ferrari manager promptly arranged everything, ensuring that the car would be ready for pickup within 3 days. Before leaving, the manager nodded at Tong Wenwen, expressing his gratitude. "Miss Tong, thank you for your professional service. I believe this will be a pleasant car buying experience." Gu Yechen continued, "I believe we will have a more in-depth understanding of each other." Tong Wenwen responded with a brilliant smile, "Mr. Gu, it is my honor to serve you. I will consider your proposal as soon as possible." With that, her cheeks flushed. After a while, Zhang Yun arrived at the dealership. Spotting her, Gu Yechen waved, "Over here." Zhang Yun jogged over and enveloped Gu Yechen in a hug, looking up at his chin and saying, "I've missed you a bit." Gu Yechen couldn't help but marvel at her charm. He placed a gentle kiss on her forehead, and Zhang Yun closed her eyes in satisfaction, savoring Gu Yechen's warmth, scent, and everything about him. Gu Yechen patted her back. "All right, there are eyes on us." Zhang Yun instantly froze, struggling out of Gu Yechen's embrace. Feeling a bit awkward as she turned to see a charmingly attractive woman examining Tong Wenwen closely, she whispered to Gu Yechen, "Are you interested in her?" Gu Yechen nodded. "Will you be secretly upset?" he inquired, observing Zhang Yun's reaction. Zhang Yun inhaled deeply and shook her head. "From the moment I decided, I was prepared." She glanced at Tong Wenwen again, adding, "She does look quite impressive. You have a keen eye." Zhang Yun chuckled softly. "Bring over the other contract," Gu Yechen said, gazing at Zhang Yun with satisfaction, appreciating her discretion. Tong Wenwen felt a blush rise to her cheeks, having heard those bashful words. She hastily presented a contract for the convertible SF90, which Gu Yechen pushed toward Zhang Yun, asking, "Do you like this? If not, we can choose another." Zhang Yun picked up the contract and, with teary eyes, looked up at the ceiling, fighting back tears. She understood that Gu Yechen's kindness towards her might stem from her physical appeal, yet she never anticipated he would treat her so well. Gazing into Gu Yechen's eyes, filled with love, she reflected on her own strength. Since meeting Gu Yechen, she had cried several times, something she had never done in front of any man before. She had longed to be a good girl who could laugh and cry freely, but that had always seemed out of reach. With that thought, Zhang Yun dove back into his embrace, pressing her lips against his, falling deeper into her emotions. She held on to a singular wish. If this were a dream, may it never end. If this were reality, may it continue forever. Tong Wenwen observed this intimate scene, unsure whether to stay or leave. After a long moment, their lips parted. Gu Yechen gently wiped Zhang Yun's tears and playfully pinched her nose, saying, "If you keep crying, you'll look like a little raccoon." Zhang Yun broke into laughter, her eyes filled with affection for the man before her. "Sign here," Gu Yechen said, ruffling Zhang Yun's hair. Zhang Yun nodded, not refusing this time, as it was proof of Gu Yechen's love for her. After Gu Yechen paid with his card, he leaned into Tong Wenwen, whispering, "What I said still stands as long as you are here." Tong Wenwen blushed as she accepted the contract. "Understood. Once I sort things out, I will contact you." Zhang Yun's SF90 was ready for immediate pickup, with the dealership filling the tank. Gu Yechen drove away in Zhang Yun's car. As they left, Tong Wenwen watched the car's retreating figure with a mix of nervousness. "Darling, have you eaten?" Gu Yechen asked Zhang Yun. "Not yet. You called, and I rushed right over." Zhang Yun replied, her spirits high. "Shall we have beef hot pot?" "I haven't had authentic beef hot pot in ages," Gu Yechen remarked, gazing out at the scenery. A gentle breeze blew as the sun dipped low, casting a crimson hue across the sky, adding a splash of color to the evening. Zhang Yun glanced at Gu Yechen and slowly nodded, "As you wish." In truth, she dared not voice any objections, as Gu Yechen was her benefactor and her first man. Uncertain of his preferences, she followed his lead. The car attracted many admiring glances on the road. With the convertible top down, it showcased Zhang Yun driving, while Gu Yechen sat in the passenger seat, prompting envy from onlookers who assumed that Gu Yechen was being pampered by a beautiful woman. Though Zhang Yun owned a modest vehicle worth only a few thousand, driving the SF90 transformed her demeanor, making her radiate like a wealthy heiress. Gu Yechen chose a larger Chaozhou beef hot pot restaurant, as it had been his favorite in his previous life, yet he could never afford to indulge. But now, he was wealthy and could eat to his heart's content. Under the guidance of the staff, Zhang Yun parked in a spacious spot, with staff placing cones around to protect the vehicle from potential dings. Gu Yechen pulled out a chair for Zhang Yun and sat beside her. "Hello. What would you like to order?" A server approached, extending a menu to Zhang Yun. Given Gu Yechen's attire, he appeared more like someone under the thumb of a significant other than the one paying. Zhang Yun stifled a giggle and passed the menu to Gu Yechen. "Go ahead and order," she said with a smile. Chapter 24. Beef hot pot, do you have any cravings? Gu Yeqing inquired, gazing at Zhang Yun. I adore everything you order. Zhang Yun replied, resting her chin on her right hand, her eyes revealing a hint of affection as she looked at Gu Yeqing. Gu Yeqing gently ruffled her hair. All right. Let me place the order. Hello. I'll have 1 portion of beef chest, snowflake beef, beef brisket, beef tendon, beef tripe, beef meatballs, and 2 portions of beef tongues, along with 2 packs of instant noodles. Thank you. Gu Yeqing handed the menu to the waiter. Where can I add the dipping sauce? Sir, if you walk straight ahead to the corner, one of our staff members is there to assist you with the condiments. You can mix your own. Typically, beef hot pot places have a special sauté sauce that you can customize as well. Gu Yeqing preferred to create his own mixture. Please sit here for a moment. I'll fetch 2 portions of dipping sauce. Gu Yeqing smiled at Zhang Yun and made his way to the designated area. What constitutes the soul of a beef hot pot dipping sauce? A touch of sauté sauce, a sprinkle of chili, just a little, followed by chopped scallions and minced garlic, soy sauce, oyster sauce, and a drizzle of hot oil, resulting in a simple yet delectable concoction. Gu Yeqing, being fond of cilantro, added some as well. Upon returning with 2 portions of dipping sauce, Gu Yeqing noticed 3 individuals gathered around Zhang Yun. His expression shifted, and he approached, pulling Zhang Yun behind him. Glaring at the 2 men before him. Who are you? What do you want? Oh, so there really is a man, albeit a little brat. One scrawny fellow exclaimed, clicking his tongue. Beautiful lady, don't follow him. Come with us. Just look at this little brat. What can he offer you? Stick with us. And we 3 can make you feel euphoric. The trio leered at Zhang Yun with lewd grins, but she remained largely unfazed, evidently accustomed to such encounters. However, for Gu Yeqing, it was a matter of pride being trampled upon, yet he was unable to confront 3 at once. Yet Gu Yeqing could not contain himself. System, will you assist me in this predicament? He silently called out. Congratulations, host, for triggering a hidden reward. Super combat skills. Divine medical expertise. 1 pack of silver needles gifted. Ecstatic, Gu Yeqing acted swiftly. As the scrawny fellow reached for Zhang Yun's hand, Gu Yeqing seized his wrist, applying pressure until a distinct crack echoed, signifying a fracture. With a swift punch, he sent the man crashing to the ground. The other 2, witnessing this, rushed in to subdue Gu Yeqing and abduct Zhang Yun. But he would not allow them to succeed. In mere moments, he had dispatched them all. Zhang Yun, initially anxious, breathed a sigh of relief. She took out a handkerchief, gently wiping the sweat from Gu Yeqing's brow, her voice laced with concern. Are you all right? Gu Yeqing shook his head, softly grasping her hand as they returned to their seats. At that moment, the manager finally appeared, and upon witnessing the scene, a chill ran down his spine. He recognized that Gu Yeqing and Zhang Yun had arrived in an SF-90, a vehicle that only distinguished individuals could afford, with the overall expenses exceeding 10 million. This realization instilled trepidation in him. Apologies, esteemed guests. This incident reflects our negligence. Today's meal is on the house. Gu Yeqing glanced at the manager, visibly displeased that such individuals were permitted entry, as it could tarnish their establishment's reputation. Indeed, this is our fault. The manager hastily acknowledged, promptly ejecting the 3 ruffians from the premises. Gu Yeqing dipped the beef into the boiling broth for 9 seconds, momentarily wishing to pour the entire pot over them. He then picked up several pieces of beef tongue, coated them in the dipping sauce, and offered the first bite to Zhang Yun. Darling, open wide. Zhang Yun, touched by Gu Yeqing's childlike demeanor, felt warmth in her heart. Who wouldn't want to be cherished like a beloved little girl? Yet, life's circumstances compelled her to wear a fade. Obediently, she opened her mouth, savoring the beef as she chewed gently. While she had tasted beef hot pot before, it had been infrequent due to her efforts to save money. Today, however, marked her most lavish hot pot experience yet. As they indulged in the hot pot, their conversation flowed effortlessly. Zhang Yun felt a pang of sympathy for Gu Yeqing's past, contrasting it with her own life, filled with love from her parents and brother. Gu Yeqing's situation was starkly different. Tears glistened in Zhang Yun's eyes as she stood and embraced Gu Yeqing like an elder sister, tenderly stroking his hair. Unbeknownst to her, these tribulations were those of the original host. Gu Yeqing himself had faced none of them and had the system to support him. He playfully wrapped his arms around Zhang Yun's waist, indifferent to the gazes of onlookers. Why does it seem like you're about to cry? Gu Yeqing teased, caressing her cheek with a smile. Zhang Yun dismissed it, believing Gu Yeqing had endured too much. Let me treat you to this meal, she exclaimed, wiping her tears and revealing a charming smile. After settling the bill, Gu Yeqing took her by the hand and drove them back to the English manor. Upon entering the villa district, Zhang Yun was awestruck by the opulence surrounding her. She had heard of the English manor but had never seen it, as the prices were beyond her reach. Gu Yeqing parked in the garage and led Zhang Yun into the villa. Upon entering, Zhang Yun was further astonished by the lavish decorations, dazzling crystal chandeliers, exquisite furniture, and priceless artworks that made her feel as if she were in a dream. Observing Zhang Yun's astonishment, Gu Yeqing's lips curled into a slight smile. What do you think? Quite impressive, isn't it? Snapping back to reality, Zhang Yun nodded. It's stunning. I never imagined I'd have the chance to see such luxury. Gu Yeqing guided her through the various rooms, and at each turn, Zhang Yun could not help but gasp in awe. Eventually, they arrived in the living room, where Gu Yeqing invited her to sit comfortably while he poured 2 glasses of juice. As she settled onto the plush sofa, Zhang Yun's nerves gradually subsided. Watching Gu Yeqing busily prepare, she felt an unfamiliar warmth arise within her. Curiosity about his life bloomed. Why did he reside here? What did he do in his daily life? Zhang Yun stood again, admiring the luxurious villa. Gu Yeqing approached with the juice, handing a glass to her as he took a seat on the sofa. From now on, consider this place your home. No need to feel constrained. Zhang Yun smiled shyly. Thank you. Let us take a moment to relax, Gu Yeqing said, his tone gentle and inviting. As Zhang Yun sipped her juice while perched on the soft sofa, her mood lightened. Thank you for bringing me here today. I never thought I'd have the opportunity to step into such a luxurious place. A blush crept onto her cheeks, her gaze a blend of gratitude and slight awkwardness. Gu Yeqing looked at her with warmth and focus. No need to be so polite. Sharing this place with you brings me joy. While it may be extravagant, it is merely a home. What truly matters is who we share it with. Though I may have many women in my life, your place in my heart will remain unchanged. Zhang Yun lowered her gaze, softly replying, but a place like this feels like an unattainable dream to me. I've always lived in ordinary surroundings, never having encountered such opulence. Gu Yeqing gently patted her shoulder, reassuring her, do not think that way. Everyone's life holds infinite possibilities. Perhaps one day, through your own efforts, you too can attain everything you desire. Zhang Yun lifted her head, a glimmer of hope shining in her eyes. Really? But it feels so distant for me. Your capabilities are extraordinary. Therefore, you can achieve it. Isn't the Shueihua Pavilion currently managed exceptionally well under your stewardship? Do you truly believe that my regard for you is merely superficial? Even if you possessed an appealing exterior, I would never entrust the management of Shueihua Pavilion to you if your capabilities were lacking. Therefore, you must have faith in Xing, Gu Yeqing said with a calm demeanor. Chapter 25. The golden dual kidneys. Gu Yeqing gazed at her with a gentle yet resolute expression and said, of course it is true. As long as you possess a dream and are willing to strive for it, nothing is beyond your reach. Furthermore, the beauty of life does not solely depend on material wealth. There are countless other treasures, such as sincere friendship and the warmth of familial love. And you have me. Zhang Yun's eyes glistened with unshed tears as she nodded, planting a soft kiss on Gu Yeqing's cheek. You are right. Just being here today and meeting you makes me feel incredibly fortunate. Gu Yeqing nodded in agreement, then continued to engage Zhang Yun in lighthearted conversation, aiming to put her at ease. Gradually, she began to shed her initial shyness, conversing merrily with him. Unbeknownst to them, night fell, casting a warm glow over the villa, and the bond between Zhang Yun and Gu Yeqing deepened. Unable to resist her alluring presence, Gu Yeqing leaned in and pressed his lips against hers. They shared a fervent kiss, savoring the exquisite moment. After 2 minutes, Zhang Yun, breathless, finally pulled away, gasping for fresh air, feeling as if Gu Yeqing could melt her entire being away. Gu Yeqing caressed Zhang Yun's silky hair, speaking softly, let us rest. Zhang Yun, captivated by the depth of his gaze and the yearning in his expression, succumbed once more, nodding gently. He lifted her in a princess carry and pressed his lips against hers again, then proceeded to the elevator, taking them directly to the master bedroom. On this occasion, neither of them bothered to freshen up. Gu Yeqing's hand found its way to a certain peak, eliciting a playful protest from Zhang Yun. Under Gu Yeqing's passionate advances, she felt herself weakening, her eyes clouded with desire and her cheeks flushed. After a brief skirmish, they laid bare their feelings for one another. Zhang Yun was taken aback by the aura emanating from Gu Yeqing, pondering whether she could handle it. With her eyes shut tight, she dared not think further. Once everything was prepared, the two embarked on a joyful union. The following morning, at 7 o'clock, Gu Yeqing woke up, feeling a twinge in his lower back. He surveyed the room, which was in disarray, his mind still hazy from the previous night's fervor with Zhang Yun, who had been insatiable, nearly exhausting him over 4 to 5 hours. Just days prior, he had barely initiated her exploration, and now, she was astonishingly vigorous. Even a man with a physique rating of 58 like Gu Yeqing felt a twinge of apprehension. He glanced at Zhang Yun, who lay on the bed, a faint smile gracing her lips, her complexion radiant. It seemed she had been well-nurtured last night. Gu Yeqing chuckled to himself, thinking, this little enchantress is indeed formidable. From being passive to now increasingly skilled, even I find it hard to keep up. After getting ready, he descended to the first floor to prepare 2 servings of beef noodles, one with 2 eggs and another with 3. Their wild night had left them both in need of replenishment. System, is there any way to expedite the enhancement of my physique and abilities? Gu Yeqing mentally called out. In response to the host's fervent request, a task has been issued. Locate women with an attractiveness rating above 88 who have yet to be developed. They must willingly accompany the host. Coercion is not permitted, though persuasion is allowed. Upon successful acquisition, the system will grant 1 lottery chance. Previously developed targets are invalid. Achieving 80 points in affection will reward an additional lottery chance. A full 100 points will yield a random reward. Once affection reaches 80 points, the target will not betray the host. You are compelling me to be a scoundrel, Gu Yechin sighed, shaking his head in resignation. His intentions had merely been to become a rogue, yet the system presented him with such a task. With a small smile, Gu Yechin accepted the system's challenge. Realizing he had no choice in the matter, this was the system's demand, not his own volition. Congratulations, host, on your union with Zhang Yun. Reward, 1 lottery chance. 3 points to physique. Would you like to draw a lottery? Yes, draw. As soon as he uttered the words, a virtual wheel appeared before him. Spinning in anticipation. As it whirled, a sense of tension gripped him, for he spotted the words "thank you for your patronage" on the wheel. If he landed on that, he would truly be driven to madness. After a brief, yet agonizing wait, the pointer finally came to a halt. Gu Yechin peered at the result, which read, Golden Dual Kidneys. Congratulations, host, for acquiring Golden Dual Kidneys. The engine shall never run dry. Gu Yechin could distinctly feel a transformation within his body. The system certainly had a knack for selecting beneficial enhancements. He would have preferred an increase in physical prowess. Stretching. He noticed that the prior pain in his lower back had subsided, leaving him invigorated. Now, he felt ready for another round without hesitation. He prepared breakfast and returned to the room, where Zhang Yun was still asleep. Unable to resist, he pressed his lips against her rosy ones. Zhang Yun, drowsily opening her eyes, blushed and quickly pushed him away. I haven't washed up yet. She recalled the wildness of the previous night, too shy to face Gu Yechin. Gu Yechin pulled back the covers, revealing her flawless figure, nearly causing his pulse to race. He felt an undeniable response and quickly suppressed it, resisting the urge. He dressed her, playfully flicking her nose. I can't shake the feeling that I've turned into a caretaker. Zhang Yun, resembling a young girl, bounced into the bathroom without even closing the door, having no reservations left with Gu Yechin. After washing up, she approached him, pressing her lips against his. And they shared a tender moment before tidying up the remnants of the previous night's revelry and heading downstairs for breakfast. Zhang Yun's eyes sparkled upon seeing the beef noodles. It looks delicious, she exclaimed, sitting down eagerly. As she dug into her meal, she exclaimed, wow, I didn't expect your cooking skills to be this good. She gave Gu Yechin a thumbs up in approval, only to gasp in surprise at the sight of 2 poached eggs. She looked at Gu Yechin, seeking an explanation. Gu Yechin chuckled, playfully flicking her forehead. You worked so hard last night. I thought I'd de-treat you. Zhang Yun's cheeks flushed with a mix of embarrassment and delight. She rummaged through Gu Yechin's bowl, discovering 3 poached eggs, her expression turning mischievous. Well, you were quite vigorous last night, so I need to replenish myself too. You have no idea how sore I was when I woke up. Gu Yechin admitted awkwardly, rubbing his nose. Zhang Yun's excitement faded instantly. She hurried to Gu Yechin's side, squatting down to touch his lower back. Does it still hurt? He lifted her gently, grinning. Darling, I could easily engage in 300 more rounds. Yet, Zhang Yun's eyes glistened with concern. Yechin, I'm so sorry. I had no idea it would affect you so severely. Chapter 26. Tong Wenwen arrives. Gu Yechin enveloped her in his embrace, whispering softly in her ear. I was quite happy last night. His gentle tone and captivating gaze nearly caused Zhang Yun to succumb once more. Feeling Gu Yechin's sudden change in demeanor, she blushed and hastily pushed him away, playfully exclaiming, You rogue. With a mischievous grin, Gu Yechin suggested, Let's eat, and then you can take me to school. Zhang Yun nodded in agreement. During their conversation, Zhang Yun expressed her desire to reveal his true identity within the group, to which Gu Yechin readily consented. At 8 in the morning, Gu Yechin arrived at the school. After stepping out of the car, he blew a kiss to Zhang Yun before turning away with flair, leaving her momentarily spellbound. Upon entering the classroom, he found his classmates engrossed in their studies. As the last to arrive, he stealthily slipped in through the back door, making minimal noise. Classmates, in just a few days, the college entrance examination will be upon us. Everyone, give it your all. The victory belongs to those who endure these final days. Ning Qianxue stood at the podium, articulating her thoughts, igniting excitement among the students. High school life was demanding. Some barely had time to sleep, while others succumbed to the pressures, grappling with anxiety. The exam served as a pivotal juncture in life, determining the fate of many. Yet for someone as academically gifted as Gu Yechin, it was as effortless as sipping water. Subsequently, all materials were collected, and the school announced an impromptu examination to evaluate the students' abilities and mindset. A chorus of lamentations arose, with only a few remaining composed. Gu Yechin dismissed their concerns, viewing them as trivial matters. After a day filled with assessments, Gu Yechin felt remarkably at ease. Having never attended high school in his previous life due to poor grades, he had longed to experience the beauty of high school and university life. This time, he savored every moment without regrets. At 5:30 in the afternoon, as he exited the school, Gu Yechin's phone rang. Upon checking, he discovered it was a call from Tong Wenwen. A smile gracing his lips, she had come to a decision. Hello? Gu Yechin answered, leaning against a lamppost with an air of relaxed charm, his handsome features attracting glances from passing students. And nice to meet you, Mr. Gu. This is Tong Wenwen. Her voice trembled slightly on the other end. I see. What is it? Is there something you need? Gu Yechen feigned ignorance. Tong Wenwen's face flushed crimson as she replied timidly. Mr. Gu, I agree with what you said. Where are you? I'll come find you. Gu Yechen chuckled inwardly, instructing her. Wait for me at the British mansion. After hanging up, he felt elated. Having observed Tong Wenwen's innocence earlier, he knew this was her first experience, granting him another opportunity for a reward from the system. Eagerly, Gu Yechen hurried home. Upon receiving his message, Tong Wenwen felt a wave of disbelief wash over her. Touching her face, she couldn't quite believe she was about to embark on this journey. She applied a light touch of makeup. Dressed casually in a white t-shirt and light blue jeans, her high ponytail accentuating her long legs and youthful allure. Meanwhile, Gu Yechen had arrived at the entrance of the British mansion. As he stepped out of the car, he spotted Tong Wenwen emerging as well. Upon seeing her, he offered a subtle smile, while Tong Wenwen felt a wave of shyness wash over her, unsure of how to proceed. Extending his hand, Gu Yechen beckoned, Come here. Tong Wenwen took hesitant steps, her heart racing with uncertainty about her choice. Gu Yechen led her into the villa, and like Zhang Yun, Tong Wenwen was taken aback by the grandeur before her. Have you eaten? Gu Yechen inquired, his gaze lingering on her youthful presence, stirring a desire within him. Not yet. She replied shyly. Wait for me to change, and then we shall dine out. We can take care of other matters later, Gu Yechen said, ruffling her hair before pouring her a glass of juice. He then took the elevator to the master suite on the 5th floor. Once changed, Gu Yechen retrieved the keys and took Tong Wenwen out for dinner. However, he deliberately avoided bringing her to Shui Yuexuan, where Zhang Yun was present. Although she claimed not to mind, he knew it would bother her internally. Arriving at his luxury car, Gu Yechen turned to her. So what do you think? Do you recognize this vehicle? Tong Wenwen shook her head, then nodded. This is a Bugatti, right? Although I'm not sure of the model. She shrugged, her expression endearing. Get in, Gu Yechen instructed, taking the driver's seat while Tong Wenwen settled into the passenger side, her eyes darting around in curiosity. Noticing her excitement akin to that of a little girl experiencing the world for the first time, Gu Yechen observed that she hadn't fastened her seatbelt. Leaning over to assist her, Tong Wenwen suddenly turned to face him, their lips meeting unexpectedly. Caught off guard, she didn't push him away as her heart raced. Sensing her acceptance, Gu Yechen deepened the kiss, his hands exploring her with precision, as if guided by an innate intuition. Tong Wenwen was taken aback by the suddenness of his advances, trembling, yet clumsily responding to his affection. Gu Yechen caressed her lips, cheeks, neck, and earlobes, drawing out breathy gasps from her. Initially hesitant, she gradually began to reciprocate, her cheeks flushed as she became enamored with the moment. Just as Gu Yechen began to unfasten her seatbelt, a loud growl from his stomach interrupted the intimacy, causing him to momentarily lose composure. Tong Wenwen, noticing the sound, felt her face heat up in embarrassment. Thoughts raced through her mind, recalling how wealthy individuals in novels often acted ruthlessly and without compassion. She feared that her earlier actions had crossed a line. Returning to his seat, Gu Yechen looked at her calmly. Are you hungry? His tone was devoid of anger. Tong Wenwen, her face pale, nodded nervously, her voice trembling as she anticipated a harsh reaction. Gu Yechen maintained his placid demeanor, gently patting her head. Then let us go eat. Tong Wenwen flinched at this tender gesture, a shiver running down her spine. As she glanced at him, her cheeks flushed, she leaned forward, parting her lips slightly. Despite being inexperienced, she understood that it was not good for a man to remain unsatisfied. Gu Yechen's surprise at her actions was evident. He hadn't expected such boldness from her, although her naivety was quite endearing. Text omitted for brevity. An hour later, Gu Yechen felt revitalized. Chapter 27. Jiang Ziheo's thoughts. Gu Yechen retrieved a bottle of water from the car for Tong Wenwen to rinse her mouth. The two returned to the villa to tidy themselves up before heading out again for dinner. This time, Tong Wenwen looked at Gu Yechen with less fear. Perhaps she had surpassed her psychological limits, or perhaps she realized that Gu Yechen was not as terrifying as she initially thought. As Gu Yechen drove his Bugatti Chiron along the road, the night in Shanghai City was truly intoxicating. He gently pressed the accelerator, and the engine of the Bugatti emitted a deep, powerful roar, swiftly increasing speed. Gu Yechen's eyes were fixed ahead, his hands skillfully maneuvering the steering wheel. With the finesse of an experienced driver, each turn felt as effortless as a child playing house. He relished the thrill of speed while remaining acutely aware of his surroundings. Savoring the exhilarating power of the supercar, the city's neon lights began to flicker. Despite the increasing number of vehicles on the road, none dared to draw near him, as if the allure of luxury vehicles created an invisible barrier. As the traffic thickened, Gu Yechen had no choice but to decelerate. The Bugatti glided forward, the trees and buildings alongside the road slowly receding in the background. He grasped the steering wheel with one hand while resting his chin on the other, enjoying the tranquility of the night. He opened the sunroof, allowing the cool night breeze to caress his face, and played soft music, weaving a serene and enchanting atmosphere. The Bugatti Chiron weaved through the night like a flowing beam of light, and nearly everyone they passed stood in awe of Gu Yechen's car, causing him to relax further. He began contemplating tomorrow's plans, the meaning of life, and his future aspirations. In this peaceful night, he found a moment of serenity and space for reflection. 20 minutes later, the vehicle arrived at the Michael Stargaze Hotel, a 4-star establishment that paled in comparison to Shui Weixian. Good evening. Dining or lodging? A woman dressed in a fitted black professional dress approached, hands respectfully resting at her abdomen. Dining, please reserve a presidential suite for me, Gu Yechen replied nonchalantly. Certainly. This way, please. The woman led Gu Yechen and Tong Wenwen into the elevator and pressed the button for the 13th floor, which ascended slowly. Inside the elevator, Tong Wenwen appeared somewhat anxious. Gu Yechen took her hand, exchanged a glance, but said nothing. Welcome, this is our presidential suite. What dishes would you like to order? The woman presented a menu to Gu Yechen. Let her choose, Gu Yechen said, glancing at Tong Wenwen. Order whatever you like, don't be nervous. Tong Wenwen nodded, selecting 3 dishes, all the least expensive options, before handing the menu back to Gu Yechen. Upon reviewing it, Gu Yechen furrowed his brow. His favorite dish, scrambled eggs with tomatoes, was conspicuously absent. He promptly added 10 more dishes, stating, 3 is hardly enough. He turned to the waitress. Do you serve scrambled eggs with tomatoes? I apologize, sir, but our hotel does not offer that dish. However, I can inquire with the head chef, the woman replied apologetically. Gu Yechen nodded, and the waitress made a call to the kitchen. Hello, sir. The head chef has agreed to prepare that dish for you. Do you have any specific requests? Gu Yechen smiled slightly. Scrambled eggs with tomatoes, with just a hint of sugar, please. The woman relayed the order. Please wait a moment. Your food has been ordered and will arrive shortly. Thank you. Gu Yechen glanced at Tong Wenwen, who had her head down, her fingers nervously fidgeting. He gently lifted her chin, meeting her anxious eyes. Raise your head. Don't keep it down like that. It's not good for your neck. And doesn't it ache? Meanwhile, at the Jiang family villa, Jiang Zihao remained confined to his room, too afraid to venture outside due to the rampant online speculation surrounding him. He was incensed by the leaked photographs and yearned to retaliate against those responsible. This incident only intensified his animosity towards Gu Yechen and Ning Qianxue. Damn it, how could they do this? It seems I must find a way to deal with them. Jiang Zihao seethed, clenching his jaw in frustration. He recalled Ning Qianxue's perfect figure, which only fueled his desire to possess her. Jiang Zihao plotted in silence, thinking he needed to find an opportunity to incapacitate her, capturing a video of her submission. Then, the aloof beauty Ning Qianxue would be at his mercy. Suddenly, a knock interrupted his daydreams. Xiaohao, are you alright? Don't worry about the online situation. No one will remember it once the storm passes. Jiang Ke called from outside. Jiang Zihao's thoughts turned to Gu Yechen, who had humiliated him. He looked towards the door, feeling an overwhelming frustration. He wanted to lash out at Jiang Ku, his half-sister, but such actions could not be revealed. His parents would never forgive him. He could only entertain the thought in his mind, knowing the consequences of any action would be dire. Sis, I'm fine. Jiang Zihao opened the door and stepped into the living room. Apart from his eldest and 4th sisters, everyone else was present, glancing at his haggard appearance with concern. Zihao, don't worry. Once this blows over, Mom will find you another school. Without our family's investment, Xinghua High will only become more difficult, Huang Li said, her heart aching for her son. How could Gu Yechen do this? He slandered Xiao Hao and still dared to expose it. We should report him to the police tonight. Jiang Ku exclaimed, indignant at the treatment of her brother. Upon hearing this, Jiang Zihao immediately panicked. Sis, I'm fine. Don't hold it against him. He probably just resents me for taking his position. It's my own fault. He sighed, leaving Jiang Ke speechless. She never expected that despite everything, Jiang Zihao would still defend Gu Yechen, who was treating him so poorly. Jiang mother felt a pang of sorrow, realizing that her adopted son was so perceptive and understanding, while her biological son was nothing but a wastrel, resorting to such measures against his own brother. Jiang father and Jiang Lai remained silent, unsure of what to say. Jiang mother looked at Jiang father. We must find a way to deal with Gu Yechen. He dares to strike our family. This cannot continue. Jiang Lai suddenly looked up. Mom, are you saying Gu Yechen harmed you? How is that possible? Though he is unscrupulous, he shouldn't stoop to such levels. Jiang Lai found it hard to believe. If it were about Jiang Zihao, it would be one thing, but attacking their parents seemed implausible. Second son, don't defend him. That beast slapped both me and your father, knocking out several of our teeth. If it weren't for Xiao Hao's situation, I would have called the police immediately. Could Gu Yechen really do such a thing? Jiang Lai pondered, feeling increasingly perplexed. Did he truly intend to sever ties with the Jiang family? A sense of something precious slipping away began to dawn on him. Chapter 28. For Tong Wenwen in the president's office of the Jiang Group. Jiang Qingyan lay exhausted on the sofa, gently massaging her temples with her fingers. The recent exposure of Jiang Zihao's affairs by Gu Yechen had forced her to spend nights at the company, with an endless array of matters awaiting her resolution. Oh, dear brother, Your actions are rather ruthless. You didn't quite finish Jiang Zihao off, but you've nearly driven me to my limits. Jiang Qingyan chuckled softly, shaking her head. Though fatigue enveloped her, a sense of joy lingered in her heart, for her brother had learned to protect himself, no longer falling prey to the whims of bullies in her absence. If only we weren't bound by blood, she sighed, as thoughts of Gu Yechen occupied her mind. This secret was shared only between her and Ning Qianxue. Even Gu Yechen remained oblivious. Presently, she could only engage with him under the guise of an elder sister. Gu Yechen had severed ties with the entire Jiang family, yet he still regarded her as his sister, a gesture that deeply moved her. Upon first hearing of Gu Yechen's decision to cut ties, her heart felt as though it had been struck by a heavy blow. She was at a loss. It mattered little if he distanced himself from others, but she yearned for their connection to remain intact. Thankfully, the outcome was indeed favorable. She picked up her phone and dialed. Qianxue, how are my brother's grades? They haven't declined, have they? Indeed. Jiang Qingyan and Ning Qianxue were not only alumni, but also close friends. Ning Qianxue would occasionally share stories of Gu Yechen being bullied at school, resulting in Jiang Zihao receiving a beating each time he returned home, though he remained unchanged in his stubbornness. Well, what an unexpected delight to receive a call from the illustrious Jiang. Ning Qianxue's voice was filled with excitement. Qianxue, how is my brother Gu Yechen performing? His grades haven't slipped, have they? Jiang Qingyan forged her inquiry under the pretense of concern. Rest assured, your little Chin is doing splendidly. He scored full marks on all subjects in yesterday's surprise test, save for a mere 2 points deducted in Chinese. Ning Qianxue replied with a smile. A smile graced Jiang Qingyan's lips as she responded, that's wonderful. Qianxue, please take good care of him at school. Her voice carried a hint of nervousness. Fear not. He is a prodigy, and I cherish him dearly. Even the principal has had a falling out with your family over him. Ning Qianxue sighed softly. All right, let's leave it at that. Jiang Qingyan acknowledged. She had not anticipated that Xinghua High School would dare to offend the Jiang group in this manner. Do take care of yourself. She mused inwardly. At the Starry Sky Hotel, Gu Yechen and his companions had finished their meal. He was preparing to drive Tong Wen home in his Bugatti Veyron when they encountered a group of individuals blocking their path at the hotel entrance. Are you Gu Yechen? One man, leading the group, scrutinized him. Gu Yechen furrowed his brow. He was certain he had not offended anyone. This group exuded an aura of ill intent. Who are you? He inquired. Our identity is of little consequence, but your identity as Gu Yechen is quite significant, the scarred man replied with a grin. You have mistaken me. I am Gu Chun, not Gu Yechen. Gu Yechen nonchalantly fabricated a response, leaving the onlookers momentarily stunned. The scarred man turned and slapped one of his subordinates, exclaiming, how could you misidentify someone? What use are you to me? The struck man appeared bewildered, realizing the fault lay with his superior, who preferred to preserve his pride. Brother, my apologies. We misjudged the situation, but fortunately, nothing unpleasant has transpired between us. The scarred man chuckled awkwardly. Gu Yechen found amusement in the absurdity of it all. Your confusion between Lu Sun and me, Zhou Shuren, is quite irrelevant. And how polite of you to offer an apology. Not at all. However, I am quite fond of gossip. Might you divulge the reason for seeking Gu Yechen? Gu Yechen asked, feigning interest. He produced a pack of Zhonghua cigarettes and tossed it to the scarred man, who smiled at Gu Yechen as apparent thoughtfulness. Well, it's rather simple. Someone offered our boss 300,000 to give Gu Yechen a beating, though the specifics were vague. It seems it stems from an incident involving a car purchase where Gu Yechen inadvertently crossed paths with him. The boss deemed it trivial. But even a mosquito is still meat, so we agreed to this task. Gu Yechen's understanding dawned. It was that rotund man, Li, who had instigated the assault. He recalled Qin Shuanger's warning to be cautious, which he had disregarded. May I inquire your name, brother? Gu Yechen asked. I am Su Hu, the scarred man replied. I wonder, if someone offered a higher price for you to retaliate, would you accept? Gu Yechen inquired with a subtle smile. You're quite the enigma. Didn't you just claim to be Gu Qin? The scarred man appeared enlightened. Alas, you sought to strike me first. I could hardly stand idly by. Gu Yechen clapped him on the shoulder with a casual smile. That could be arranged, provided the price is right. The scarred man replied. I'm Gu Yechen. Very well. The one who sent you must be surnamed Li, correct? Gu Yechen queried. Indeed he is. Deliver him a beating, and I shall reward you 1 million. How does that sound? Gu Yechen smiled. The scarred man's eyes brightened. Are you certain? Once the deal is made, it cannot be undone. Simply provide me with a video of the encounter, and should it meet my satisfaction, I may even increase it to 2 million. What say you? Gu Yechen believed the scarred man would accept. Consider it done. The prospect of 2 million was too enticing to resist. Excellent. Upon completion, I will ensure payment is made. Gu Yechen provided his alternate phone number, linked to a system that no one could trace. He transferred 10,000 to them through a virtual account for a job well done. After expressing gratitude, the scarred man and his group departed. Gu Yechen turned to find Tong Wen trembling, her complexion pale. The pressure had been overwhelming for her. He embraced her gently, asking, What's wrong? recovering from her shock. Tongwen blushed and replied, "I'm fine, just a bit scared." Gu Yechen tenderly stroked the back of her head, and she did not resist his embrace, leaning into him. "Let us go. It's time to attend to our business," Gu Yechen said, observing her rosy cheeks that resembled a ripe apple, irresistibly enticing. She nodded softly in agreement. At the British-style villa, within Gu Yechen's room, two individuals clad in bathrobes shared a passionate kiss, Tong Wanwen willingly responding to Gu Yechen's advances. They bared their souls to one another, and as Tong Wanwen tightly shut her eyes, she dared not contemplate the implications of Gu Yechen's undeniable prowess. She laid down a white sheet in a designated spot, and Gu Yechen approached her with deliberate tenderness, ensuring her first experience would be a cherished memory. As the room filled with warmth and affection, even the moon outside blushed and hid behind the clouds. Chapter 29. Caught unawares by Tong Wanwen at 6 o'clock the following morning, Gu Yechen was already dressed. Tong Wanwen, having exhausted herself the previous night, was still at rest. Gu Yechen chose not to disturb her, instead sitting quietly by the bedside, observing her. In that moment, he noticed a flicker of movement beneath her eyelids, leading him to believe she was waking, yet unsure of how to engage. Ah, how strikingly beautiful Wanwen is. He felt a pang of remorse for the wildness of the previous night, wondering if she was still in pain. Gu Yechen deliberately spoke aloud, noting the slight twitch at the corner of her mouth, convinced she was merely feigning sleep. Tong Wanwen, her eyes closed, was at a loss for words. Did Gu Yechen truly remain oblivious to her predicament? The memories of their reckless night together left her feeling shy and vulnerable. They had only known each other for 2 days, and now she found herself in a position she never anticipated. Gu Yechen, noticing the blush creeping onto her cheeks, sought to tease her further, continuing, Wanwen's lips are truly enticing, almost irresistible. Shall I steal a kiss? Surely, it wouldn't be improper, considering she is still asleep. Tong Wanwen's body tensed at his words. Her anxiety rendered her immobile, forcing her to furrow her brow and maintain her active slumber. Leaning closer, Gu Yechen pressed his lips against hers. Tong Wanwen shivered at the unexpected coolness of his touch, yet she remained frozen in place. Gu Yechen's tenderness was overwhelming, igniting a longing within her. She instinctively deepened the kiss, unable to resist his allure, slowly succumbing to the moment. In a surge of unexpected courage, Tong Wanwen pulled Gu Yechen closer, causing him to tumble beside her. Captivated by his charming and gentle demeanor, she found herself emboldened, surrendering to their shared passion once more. 2.5 hours later, their union reached its conclusion. Gu Yechen lay staring at the ceiling, his mind adrift. Turning to where Tong Wanwen had been, he found she had already freshened up and descended to the living room, leaving him momentarily speechless. Internally, he grappled with the realization, had I truly been overpowered? Congratulations, host. You have acquired Tong Wanwen. Target beauty score, 89, meeting system criteria. Reward, 1 additional lottery draw, physical constitution 1. Name, Gu Yechen physical constitution, 62, average, 50, beauty score, 95 mental fortitude, 50, clear-headed. Health, excellent special abilities, masterful driver, exceptional medical skills, golden kidneys, super combat skills. Academic prodigy, enhancement points, 10, 1 enhancement point awarded for every 100 million spent. Special item, purple gold black card. Future references to the protagonist's finances will be omitted for simplicity. Suffice it to say that the protagonist is perpetually affluent. Gu Yechen attempted to allocate his enhancement points to his physical constitution, only to discover that strengthening once required 10 points. He was left dumbfounded as his hard-earned points vanished in an instant. Tong Wanwen entered the room, looking at Gu Yechen and suggesting, "Let us wash up and have breakfast." She walked with a slight limp, each step seemingly a testament to her discomfort. Gu Yechen enveloped her in his arms, murmuring, "You worked hard last night." Tears welled up in Tong Wanwen's eyes, spilling forth like a tidal wave. She clung tightly to Gu Yechen, desiring to merge into his embrace. He gently stroked her head, cautioning her not to become too teary-eyed. Tong Wanwen pressed a quick kiss to the corner of his lips before hastily departing, enduring her discomfort. Gu Yechen made his way downstairs for breakfast, where Tong Wanwen had prepared 2 servings of pasta. The taste was satisfactory, though the portions were modest. After their meal, they departed the villa. Gu Yechen headed to school, while Tong Wanwen, feeling unwell from their recent intimacy, took a day off from work. Arriving punctually to class, Gu Yechen found Ning Qianxue entering shortly thereafter. She glanced at him and remarked, "You should avoid arriving so late. You nearly missed the bell." Gu Yechen nodded with a smile. "Classmates, the results of the examination are in." Overall, the performance was commendable, with only a few students experiencing minor setbacks due to misreading the questions. However, it's crucial to read the questions carefully before answering, especially for the college entrance exams. Additionally, one student achieved a remarkable score of 748, missing only 2 points on the essay section. Had this been a surprise test, I might have suspected foul play. Who is it, teacher? Who surpassed our class's academic star? The students were puzzled. The class's academic prodigy, Xia Yi, had never been outperformed. It is Gu Yechen. Let us give him a round of applause. The classroom erupted in applause. Since Jiang Ziheo's departure, the atmosphere had grown lively. Xia Yi turned in surprise at Gu Yechen, the new top scorer. Astonished that he had taken the lead, as he usually hovered around 5th in the grade, the teacher began explaining the exam questions. While Gu Yechen felt a wave of drowsiness wash over him, the material seemed all too simple. He pondered that he should not be confined by academic pressures, especially with his considerable wealth. Had it not been for his previous lack of formal education, he would have long since pursued other ventures. Finally, when the school day concluded, Gu Yechen bolted from the classroom. Ning Qianxue shook her head, bemused by his hasty exit, and reached for her phone to call Jiang Qingyan. Hello, Qingyan. Hello, Jiang Qingyan's voice came through lazily, as if she were exhausted. Darling, what's wrong? Ning Qianxue inquired, surprised by the tone. Jiang Qingyan sighed. It's just my little brother. He posted something online, and it's been overwhelming. After a pause, she added, Qianxue, did you call to tell me something about Xiaochen? Your little man topped the surprise test with a score of 748, missing only 2 points on the essay. I suspect he must have been quite mistreated at your place, for he has truly soared since breaking free. Ning Qianxue chuckled. Impressive. Jiang Qingyan responded, astonished, and made no objections to Ning Qianxue referring to Gu Yechen as her little man. She was particularly surprised that he, who had previously ranked around 5th, had now achieved the top score. After a brief conversation, they ended the call. My dear little brother, you are truly exceptional. I must be the unluckiest sister to have ended up as your sibling. Jiang Qingyan shook her head, troubled by the thought of her favorite brother being with another woman, oblivious to their lack of blood relation. After school, Ning Qianxue changed into a fresh outfit and left with her bag. As she strolled through the vibrant city of Starry Sea, the colorful lights flickered around her, and she donned her headphones, letting the music uplift her spirits. Meanwhile, Gu Yechen returned home and drove out once more. Just as Ning Qianxue reached the parking lot and prepared to drive, a figure lunged from behind, covering her mouth and nose with a handkerchief. Despite her vigorous struggle, the disparity in strength was overwhelming, compounded by the apparent substance on the cloth that rendered her dazed. She sensed a hand encircling her waist, caressing her cheek, but her resistance proved futile. Ning Qianxue was forcibly taken into a vehicle. Aware of her surroundings, yet unable to regain consciousness, fear began to creep in. She had always held confidence in herself, but now she felt vulnerable. Miss Ning, I have long coveted you, and today I finally have my chance. At this moment, Jiang Ziheo's desires surged to an unbearable extent, causing a tremor deep within Ning Qianxue's heart. She yearned to resist, yet her limbs seemed utterly unresponsive to her commands. Ning Qianxue could hardly fathom that Jiang Ziheo would dare to commit such an act against her. Nonetheless, she found herself powerless to thwart his impending violation. A solitary tear slipped from the corner of her eye, as she lamented the potential loss of her virginity, which she had preserved for over 20 years, to this beast. A profound pain engulfed her heart, leaving her devoid of any means of escape. Jiang Ziheo drove Ning Qianxue to his villa, and upon entering, he unceremoniously placed her upon the bed. Chapter 30. Assist Qianxue. Jiang Ziheo, consumed with desire, approached Ning Qianxue, murmuring, Teacher, you are truly beautiful. Rest assured, I will ensure an unforgettable experience. I've prepared 5 cameras to meticulously document our encounter from every angle, for your viewing pleasure later. He retrieved a vial from the bedside table, explaining, Teacher, this elixir will amplify your desires exponentially. Even a single drop will overwhelm you, a woman of such high standing, necessitating union with a man to dissipate its effects. Under its influence, you would succumb even to the most repulsive beggar, craving his touch and initiating the encounter yourself. Jiang Ziheo administered 2 drops of the concoction into Ning Qianxue's mouth. Unable to resist, she felt the substance permeate her being. Within minutes, a searing heat engulfed her. An overwhelming urge she desperately tried to suppress, yet found impossible to resist. She felt an intense need to be filled. Meanwhile, en route to his sister's residence, received a system notification, urgent. Proceed to Jiang Ziheo's villa immediately. Ning Qianxue has been drugged, and the effects are intensifying. Failure to intervene will result in her violation, leading to a lifetime of despair and subsequent suicide. She is currently incapacitated. Success in rescuing Ning Qianxue will be rewarded with 15% of Blue Ocean Group's shares. Overwhelmed with fury, executed a swift U-turn. His Bugatti Veyron, a veritable tempest on wheels, was immediately pursued by law enforcement, who were left in its dust. Fortunately, Jiang Ziheo's villa was within a 10-minute drive. Inside the villa, Ning Qianxue's initial helplessness began to dissipate, but she remained unable to move freely. Jiang Ziheo emerged from his ablutions, his gaze fixated on the alluring figure on the bed. Teacher, he leered, I never imagined I would soon possess you. I've fantasized about this moment, and tonight, it becomes reality. Allow me to assist you with a bath. His lascivious grin widened as he approached Ning Qianxue. Tears streamed down her face as she bit back a sob, her vulnerability only enhancing her appeal. The drug coursed through her veins, and she succumbed once more. A prisoner of her own desires, yearning for fulfillment. Just as Jiang Zihao reached for Ning Qianque, a sports car screeched to a halt before the villa. Followed closely by 2 unmarked police vehicles. Was immediately surrounded by officers upon exiting his vehicle. "Gentlemen," he stated, his brow furrowed, "we can discuss this later. I am here to rescue someone." Upon hearing the details, the officers stormed the villa, leading the charge into Jiang Zihao's room. They burst through the door to find Jiang Zihao, embracing Ning Qianque, her feeble resistance only serving to heighten her allure. The abrupt intrusion stunned Jiang Zihao.